seconds to my list.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Apex Legends Global Series Pro League. We are back for more action, the second opportunity to see the likes of FaZe Clan, TSM, 100 Thieves, Space Station Gaming, and so many more competing today. Will the Guard go back-to-back with surprising wins based on placement and consistency, or will we see some dominant games from the likes of Optic Gaming, who surely need it? We'll answer those questions and more as we welcome Vicky and SpiderTiff to the broadcast. Excited to be joined alongside SpiderTiff and Vicky back-to-back. We're running it back. Tiff, how are we feeling, ladies?
Hey, we're feeling so good. This has been an all-out, action-packed day. We started off in EMEA, and we had some amazing standout teams such as Alliance and Scars, so it was so fun to get to witness all that action alongside you, Fallout and Vicky.
Vicky, how you feeling, girl?
I'm feeling fantastic. I mean, this is the first time we get to see TSM up against FaZe. Come on, that's gonna be awesome. Group B versus C for the first time against these two groups together, but I'm having a great time after the EMEA action. I can't wait to see what NA's got in store for us.
That's a good point. Battle of the former teammates, Sniped-Down and Elberlily against their former roster in TSM. That's a big one I didn't even think about. Let's take a look at the rest of the participating teams today. In the lobby, it's Group B versus Group C. Obviously, you have so many heavy-hitting teams, but you have some teams with a lot to prove. Cloud9 is one of them. Sentinels is another. Not the best starts for them that they would have wanted. We'll see if they can bounce back. But then you have some dark horse teams like the BR Demons, Tripod, and many more. We'll see how they will perform. And then, of course, our heavy-hitting squads. Optic Gaming, FaZe Clan, 100 Thieves, Space Station, TSM, and so many more. The debut of his Watson in the ALGS Pro League playing with the Furia roster. So quite a few participating teams today. Let's switch on over to the overall standings, though, to see where things are currently at. In the grand scheme of things, Team Liquid and Complexity on top alongside Dark Zero. But keep in mind, Group A, there's an A next to their name. They've played 2 days. Groups B and C have only played 1 day of action, so they haven't had as many opportunities to pick up points, yet still the Guard, TSM find themselves on top, Vicky.
Yeah, it's so exciting to see, too, how consistent teams like Team Liquid have been in the overall standings. Complexity, and I want to see that domination continue. We won't be able to see them today. They do get a little bit of a break, but now we are going to be able to see the likes of Furia, TSM. What is Furia going to do to be able to get off from that second place, that second page, where you see them sitting in 20th place with only 8 points? We need to see them come alive.
That's right. Tiff, any thoughts?
Yeah, just like we saw in EMEA, a lot of the teams that found themselves not necessarily near the top or at that relegation point for playoffs, they had to have a standout game. You need to make sure that when you're starting strong, but you have names like NRG, Space Station, 100 Thieves finding themselves outside the top 10. This is a moment for y'all to kind of step it up, because we know that you haven't been playing up to the standards that you've set for yourself. So let's see what you got.
Yeah, opportunity today against a stacked lobby for sure. But in this stacked lobby, there's a few teams we wanted to highlight in particular. It's our teams to watch. Vicky, we're going to start with you this time. Who are you looking out for?
Come on, I gotta say it's gotta be TSM, the winners of day number 1 within their respective groups. They started off a little slow, but then they started ramping things up. We even got to interview Verhulst, who was saying that the team, you know, they've been able to really pop off thanks to their coach Raven, who's been experimenting with certain compositions. I know we saw Raven talking about having a 1v1 with Imperial Hall to see if they could play Fuse. Well, guess what? Hal won, and they didn't play Fuse, and they stuck with this here, and it paid off amazingly for this team. They got back-to-back wins in day number 1, and I'm looking for them to do it all over again for day number 3 here in North America.
Yeah, I like that. TSM, your winners of day 1. For me, though, it's going to be the Guard, your winners of day number 2. And again, the team that not many expected to win over the likes of Space Station, 100 Thieves, Optic, NRG, and so many more in an insane lobby. And how they do it? Well, you heard it from RKN in the post-game interview. They did it with consistent late-game placements. They were the best placing team overall. That's their bread and butter. They are so talented. One of the top IGLs in the world, in my opinion, in RKN, who's underrated as an IGL. And then they got some slayers in Keon as well as Rambo. But last but not least, it's FaZe. Tiff, why are you looking out for FaZe here?
Look, I am all eyes on Mac right now. The IGL, learning and grooving week in, week out, trying to get more of that synergy and finding the comfort in that positioning. And they have been doing so much better. Debuting, you got Sniped-Down, the multi-title phenom, the young demon Slurp. They're just absolutely menacing on the map, and they want to prove today that that second place is not a fluke. So look for them to come in hot and heavy.
That's right. You saw the tweet from Alberelli just a couple days in as an IGL. Well, one thing we got to highlight was Snipedown and his individual performance. Not great on Storm Point because it wasn't a great start for them on Storm Point as a team. You see it for Snipedown right here. Only 1 kill, 0.3 average kills per game, 453 damage per game. Not a whole lot going on Storm Point, but then it's a completely different story on the second 3 maps here in World's Edge. 12 kills overall, 4 per game, almost 1,000 damage per game for Snipedown. And those stats really tell the tape and tell the story for this squad. They did not show up on Storm Point. They really performed on World's Edge, and they snuck out a second place finish overall. It's obviously not about how you start, it's about how you finish. FaZe Clan certainly showed that, but you got to start stronger, especially if you want to stay consistent in this pro league. We'll see if they can do that. But then, of course, in addition to FaZe, we have so many other teams in this lobby, so many other storylines. Vicky, who are some other honorable mentions?
I mean, we got to take a look at Tripods. I mentioned Optic Gaming earlier. I'm expecting way better performance from Optic Gaming going into this day because this is a team that has the consistency nailed down, but I feel like they were caught off guard with the lobby that they were presented with. I know FaZe really popped off in their own respective day, and I'm expecting Optic Gaming to turn around and really stay consistent because they definitely need it after their performance in day number 2.
Yeah, we know they're a great Storm Point team, dropping in mill. Some really great rotations typically come through from Optic, some great calls from Dupe, and great micro IGLing for Skittle. We'll see how they will perform here on Storm Point and World's Edge. And speaking of Storm Point and World's Edge, let's take a look at the map rotations and order. We are going to be kicking things off with Storm Point games 1 through 3. And then we flip over to World's Edge. So same thing as last week. I believe halfway through the Pro League, we'll actually flip that order. But for now, start with Storm Point, wrapping up with World's Edge. And guess what? You could also watch your way, how you want to watch, however you'd like to watch, whichever team, whichever POV. You can even hear the in-game team comms with Multiview, a new award-winning feature of the ALGS. Make sure to hit the Command Center button at the bottom of the Twitch stream to watch whichever player and team and POV you want, their comms included. And of course, you could stack multiple views next to each other, including the main broadcast as well. So check out Apex Legends Multiview and watch your way as we get ready for game number 1. And certainly a lot to talk about here as we're getting this lobby locked and loaded. Furia makes their debut, Tiff, with his Watson returning to the ALGS. Played with a substitute last week. What do you expect from them with his return?
Look, I think they're just going to come in and just do exactly what Furia does best. They are going to be aggro. They want to show why they got second at champs and why they are so aggro. I mean, they are groundbreaking inside the ALGS, and that's what I expect them to do. They want to make a statement.
Yeah, they made a statement last week, dropping Lightning Rod and making sure no one else contested them and winning those fights outright. They'll be obviously uncontested, likely in Lightning Rod with his Watson as well back on this team. Vicky, any dark horse teams, any teams that aren't necessarily the big brands we haven't talked about yet that you think might have a chance in breaking top 5 today, much like the Guard did last week?
I'm going to have to say BR Demons. They've been having quite a performance themselves. This is a team that I've been taking a lot of time to just kind of feel out how they're approaching Storm Point, because I think their approach is very unique in the sense where they play very aggressive, especially by the edge of the circle, but they've been finding a lot of success. Now, can they break through that middle of the pack, that high middle of the pack I would give them credit to, being consistent in the top 5 is the question transitioning from Storm Point into World's Edge.
Yeah, there's a lot of rookies right now, obviously, in this league with the theme that is, let's find a ranked to PC, ranked grinder controller player and make them our third. Sykes, you have Slurpee G, you have Keon, you have so many others that are kind of newer to ALGS. But I gotta say, BR Demons and Reeds is one I have circled as a potential rookie of the season or rookie of the year candidate. He's been playing so well, fresh off of a win at TwitchCon with Sweet and Hal. Obviously easy to do when you have Sweet and Hal on your team. Can he do it with his squad in Aiden and Vayne, a former champion of the ALGS with 100 Thieves? It's a really talented team, and they are certainly my dark horse. I agree with that call, Vicky. Tiff, how about you? Any other teams that you think might surprise us today?
Oh gosh, there's so many good teams. I would love to see the Guard go back-to-back, but as far as dark horses, and this is weird calling them a dark horse because they got second on their first match day showing. I'm going with Atlanta Premier. I feel like no one's hyping them up enough. You've got Hill, you've got Crook, you've got the young gun enemy, and led by the IGL of Hill, who's been really working on himself physically, mentally. I know he's on the gym grind, and I see it and I respect it as well. And I feel like that can also translate into the way that you play the game. And they came out and just won the first map with so many eliminations, which no one was expecting. I mean, I don't want to say no one because clearly they were expecting it, because I want to give out a shout out to Logan, one of the co-owners of Atlanta Premier, came out into one of my streams and was like, yo, listen to what I'm saying right now. Top 5 Atlanta Premier. Hold me to it. And I was like, you know what? Second place. That's even better. Let's go.
So far, so good. You took the words out of my mouth. That's exactly where I was going next. I've said it a few broadcasts now, but it's time to put respect on the names of Atlanta Premier. They are certainly consistent and out here to prove that they are in that top tier, top echelon of teams. And that's just the crazy thing. There seems to be so many. That's kind of the storyline of North America, Vicky, at kind of a macro level. So many teams that are contending for top 5 in the world. I mean, there's probably 15, 20 teams in North America that could potentially be a top 9 or top 10 team at the end of this Pro League. There's not enough room, though. Only top 9 will qualify for LAN based on Pro League standings. It's crazy.
It's crazy. The 9 spots alone, when you have such a heavily stacked lobby with 20 teams, I mean, it's going to be so difficult. I know it's just the second week, but I'm so excited to see the adjustments that some of these teams had to make going into this day 3, because there's been some time, at least a little bit of downtime between what we witnessed between some of these groups, whether it be day 1 to day 2 and to where we are right now in day number 3. I'm looking at you, Optic. I'm looking at ESA too. I mean, we're going to be seeing Luda on ESA as well as opposed to Fury, as we usually do for ESA. I think that's the last team to load into this lobby while they get set up. But I'm excited to see how some of these other stragglers, I would say, these individuals that are going to be joining some of these squads, how they're going to be doing against the talent pool that we have here in this lobby.
That's a great point. That's what's at stake. That's it for us in the pre-show, because guess what? Game number 1 is around the corner, locked in and loaded. And to call the action, I'm excited to be throwing yet again to the new duo of Spider Tiff and Vicky Kitty to cast us and take us through all 6 games today. Ladies, take it away.
Thank you so much, Follow. Try not to miss me too much, all right? You know how it goes. I'm right here with Tiff. Welcome, Tiff, once again to the NA broadcast. We killed it absolutely in the EMEA region, and now we're looking at a pretty nice high-action game, rather lobby, before we load into this first game. Are there other dark horses that you may have on your mind, aside from the ones that you highlight with Atlanta Premier and Fallout? Any other teams specifically that you want to pinpoint before we jump into this first game?
I'm gonna go with Season, SZN, Klain, Kenny, Mr. Hackula. They are so strong, and watching kind of the way that they played through those preseason qualifiers, coming in from there, garnering all the points necessary to get a Pro League spot, just the way that they rotate throughout the map and kind of clear out the control on the backside, making sure that they have full map control and they just eliminate everyone in front of them. If they can find themselves at a strong position throughout like Storm Point and World's Edge, we should see some strong showing from them.
Oh, I got that. Season had a pretty good day number 1, but they struggled just a bit in terms of being consistent. I know that they felt really early in the first few games, but it looked like they felt more comfortable in World's Edge, minus that last game that we had witnessed. They were the first team to go down, because we did have some 50-50s going in, and I'm expecting to have some contentions going into day number 3 as well. I know you made mention of, I believe it was Tripods potentially having an early 50-50 against Sentinels in Storm Point.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking forward to, if they are going to actually contest that, right? We saw in EMEA, we were like, hey, will some of these teams switch and kind of flex their drop spots? But everyone went for it, map after map after map, and now I'm ready. Will we get some spicy 50-50s in NA? But hey, time will tell. It is match number 1. We are kicking it off on Storm Point, and I couldn't be more excited to be stealing Fallout's duo for the night. Thank you, Vicky.
Yeah, right? I'm so excited. It's going to be a good time here, especially after seeing the action throughout this past week. So many Apex Legends tournaments happening to keep a lot of our legends warmed up. As we get started, you can see the dropship with the respective teams going to their POIs. Optic obviously landing at Mill. That was a fight for the Sentry against Sentinels back in the day. Sentinels said, all right, you know what? You can absolutely hold that while they're going to be able to land somewhere else here. You can see Furia is watching with a split drop real quick, going off to the side, wondering where the rest of Furia is going to be, if they are going to stick to Lightning Rod. We did see some early contention in day number 1 with Furia, who didn't have the best game, but again, his Watson is back in this roster. It's going to be nice to see as we take a look at TSM. Our winners of day number 1, they had such a strong showing, but it did take some time for this team to ramp up.
Yeah, and I think that they kind of had a point to prove, right? We always talk about the TSM legacy and kind of how dominating of a team they are. So I feel like that can sit heavy, right? You need to be able to live up to the standard that the ALGS community has for you and you have for yourselves. You know that you want to be a champion and you want to get back into those positions where you can garner yourselves a championship. And it starts here and now in the Split 1 Pro League. So I think TSM coming out on top in that match day 1 was exactly the confidence booster that they needed.
Yeah, with the young legend Verhulst, we got to talk to him a little bit, just get his thoughts on the way that his team works around comms, the way that Raven has made such a heavy impact, bringing Raven on as a coach for this team. They're looking for consistency. This is the one team that got back-to-back wins in day number 1. They may not have secured double-digit KP, but the fact that they were able to finish with 7 KP to their name and then 6 KP right after that with the additional 12 extra points is always something nice to see. And I'm expecting TSM to play for positioning like we saw in that first day. They were playing extremely patient, even taking 50-50 rotations just in case. As we can see, a trident approach from C9. They usually love to play Mr. Worldwide going all the way around because they love playing the Loba, so the black market is going to be a handy factor into the composition C9's playing, but they're looking like they're making an appearance early on against a team that's already taking some shots at them before they steal all their loot.
Hey, gotta throw it on the black market and take as much loot as you possibly can, because that's why you've got the 2 purple shields and the blue shield, and you're just getting your weapons, your 30-30 kitted out. You already have that purple heavy mag, and you've got your enemies in your sights just firing off into the distance. This is gonna be nice, because if you can force your teammates to utilize any of the health that may have been looted early on and force them to basically not have any of that, that's when you can just kind of swarm in and take them by storm, because you have the advantage.
And C9 is one of those squads that when we talk about overall standings, they need help. That's the best way I could word it. They need all the help. They're sitting at 25th overall in this region. They did not have the best day, and now they're looking to make up for it. So I like this quick rotation because Down Beast, like we saw already in the distance, is being contested by not just FaZe, but by Oxygen as well. So C9 playing on the cusp of Down Beast will allow them the opportunity to maybe take some shots, maybe get involved in a third party. But with the circle pulling this direction, you could definitely expect teams like TSM to also make an earlier appearance as well.
I love that you bring that up, because Oxygen would be kind of sandwiched in between the 2 POIs, which is not what you want. But hey, just getting all the loot necessary that you need. Verhulst saying, hey, I want to cut down this flyer, grab it, and see if there's anything of substantial value inside that death box. But you can just hear nearby someone's taking to the skies via that Valk ult, and look who's got a line of sight on that. That's going to be the CEO of NA Apex himself, Imperial How, with that G7 scout. But it's first attempt that's taken the skydive here, and Amigo, Bronzy Saucer. It's kind of interesting. And Amigo used to play on the Luminosity roster, which is also going to be competing here again today, because they found themselves in the same group.
Yeah, a lot of these individual players are so strong, as Optic Gaming are going to get EMP'd. You can see the information coming in with the Seer Tactical, noticing that they're going to try to force this team out from this building. But with an early contention here, they're just looking to clear this side of the circle, so that way at least the southern side of Down Beast won't be contested, since we know that Optic Gaming is rotating away from Mill.
Oh, yes, and I don't really like some of the positionings in here, but not going in. That's going to be Atlanta Premier. That is not what I want when I'm hyping up my Dark Horse for them to go out first day of match 1. Atlanta Premier, no, but Optic Gaming, Fallout, you mentioned it earlier in that pre-show. You knew this is what you wanted. They needed to step up, show some dominance, and show us why they were so good in Sweden.
I would like to see how the initial start to that fight went down, because Optic Gaming just fully sent it on to that team, and they got deleted. They were even trying to take some cover. That shield bat had no chance of getting popped off. Now we get to look at Sentinels, who have been running a very interesting comp. You and I were talking about it in the pre-show, actually, leading up to NA, and with Lou rocking the Revenant, I mean, I get it. We've seen Cossack, we've seen Crypto, Watson, but the Revenant has been a very interesting flavor of choice for Sentinels.
Yeah, this is gonna get spicy as the Thermites come in. Crust trying to get the bat off does. Throws out the arc star to kind of garner some space here so they can reposition and wait for them to push. I love the hand signs going out from the Watson as she goes to create the fences. But the question is, they're going to be fine warding off any push. But we see tripods as well just on the outskirts of the Down Beast. You can see Gent right there getting some information. But we need to talk about Nick Merckx on Watson, because as he made that transition over, I was living for it. Love that positioning, because sometimes it just takes moving someone off a legend that they may not be doing the best on and finding a more defensive legend, and I think it's really fitting tripods well.
Yeah, aside from that, also completely shifting the way that they approach the game too. They're willing to play for positioning, very similar to what we saw in EMEA with Scars. They're looking to sit in that final circle, unlike Optic, who turned their tail right back to their POI so that way they can take another fight. They see an opportunity, if they got the Seer on their team, and they're looking to collect some more heads to add on to their KP. It's Sleptdown that have the high ground right now, but they also put down the exhibition from the Seer to see if they can find that information. But Optic Gaming are playing perfectly outside of that range.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. If you see an exhibit go up, if you've got the distance to put in between you and that, just sit just on the outside of it. I believe it only lasts for 30 seconds, so just garner yourself some time and then make your way in. Force them to use that Seer exhibit before you throw yours down on. And Optic already carrying some momentum forward from that fight with Atlanta Premier, and they are looking for their next prey.
I have to talk about Optic. Every time I don't, Dupe is like, Vicky, don't forget about us. And I always tell Dupe, I can't. You guys make it too difficult out here. But after that performance in that first day, it was very easy to see that Optic needed to work on some stuff. Now, the exhibition, though, they also are a beacon to let other teams in the area know that they were in the middle of a fight. It's BR Demons say, all right, you can focus to the skies, but don't forget, it's not a bird, it's a plane. It's a bullet to your back, as BR Demons are looking to clean up Optic Gaming.
And you can tell that Optic was not expecting anyone to be in the vicinity, which is really tough when we've been a Seer meta. You have the ability to look for heartbeats within a 50 meters, and now Optic is trying to pull some Fast and the Furious moves outside of the black hole, but they're getting sucked in, and BR Demons showing why they are the dark horse of North American ALGS as they are going through and eliminating Optic Gaming.
That did not just happen. They did not just try to. Oh my goodness, the black hole pulling them in while they try to run away on the Trident. It was a renegade Trident. They lost control of the entirety of the vehicle and they could not do anything about it, but unfortunately succumbed to the BR Demons. You know the BR Demons are definitely feeling themselves after that. Says, you know what, sucks to suck. Now GG go next. We're gonna be able to rotate around this rock. We're gonna try to figure out a way to approach this next circle, because that's something else we gotta highlight. This circle is pulling towards Northpad, but it's pulling towards the outskirts where we saw that C9 situated themselves in one of those alleys so that way they could actually contest any of the squads that wants to rotate away from down Beast. Well, I believe they have the positional advantage while we take a look at Sentinels, who also haven't been having the best time in this game. Losing out on 2 members, it's only up to Senox to really run for his life. Getting slowed down by the solo EMP ult. You could see that he is desperate.
If you're getting EMP'd, you know the guard is nearby, ready and waiting for you, and that who is going to be dealing the nail in the coffin to Sentinels here in map number 1. It's the guard. They are coming off a win there in match day number 2, and you know the hype, the passion. You got Rambo, RKN, and Keon, and there is something to be said about the passion that exudes in Rambo. I was watching that last match day, and just the hype, everything. He was screaming. I think he like 1v4 a team and got 5th place before going out, being super consistent as that solo Watson. It was pretty nutty.
Yeah, it's the energy that he wants to portray as Rambo in real life, literally. I mean, after seeing the energy that Rambo provides as a player and as a personality, you gotta watch out. RKN gotta back down a little quick. Gets pinged right across the distance by that sniper. But you talk about Rambo and you talk about his energy. I mean, we saw from GMT when he went in as a sub for Max Strafey, he was bringing in the energy for a team that he didn't really have practice with. So now with the guard, he's got that consistent practice. He's got the consistent teammates to work off of. And they had such an amazing day number 2, looking to replicate that for day number 3.
I did see the tweets go out, stand guard. Let's see if they can do it, because you know they want to replicate the success, and I think they're setting themselves up very well defensively here. If you've got the Watson, you have your Jenny available, your fences, this is one of the areas that you can actually control the space in this map, because you have the defensive legends to have that ability. But you mentioned it earlier in EMEA, if you rotate in too early, it can be dangerous.
Yeah, it's definitely dangerous here as the guard are just trying to figure out what their next plan is here. As we get to see where they're going to be patiently waiting for their next move, why don't we tune in to our first listening of the day presented by Western Digital to the guard.
Like the little slips on each side, they're like all still in, so someone could land and get in behind you is the issue.
Yeah. Can you hit beacon? Oh my god, it doesn't hard pull. We should actually just stay.
Oh, we're vibing. Yeah, we're vibing. Just, yeah, that guy's gonna be cringe all game.
They're fighting on like this, on the west, like somewhere. Oh, it's far. Why does that sound so close? It's literally in down beast. I can hear it like it's next to me.
Bro, it's just... Our spot gets better as the game goes on, though. So... Yeah, keep long going to you.
Nah, I'm not. I have an alternator wingman.
There's a 2 to 4.
We start getting pressured. What's our move? Do we want to move like
Does anyone want a
somewhere or what?
3x?
Can't use it. Alternator wingman.
We don't really... Bro, we don't really have an option to go anywhere else. Like,
Team right here. Team right here.
Yeah, they've been there.
our bunker's not in anymore. We just kind of have to alpha this.
Yeah.
What? What do you mean?
Bo was saying, where do
Oh.
we move to if we get pressured? We can't really move anywhere.
Yeah, we just stay. We just fight it if we can.
Like, there's no one in this ravine yet, so like we can back up into ravine if we need to hard reset, but we're just gonna get pressured from the other side of ravine with the guy that has the longbow is literally gonna be longbowing us again.
I love these comms because you could hear the situational awareness and just trying to figure out the 50-50s that they could take depending on what's to meet them on the other side in the middle of the rotation. Even, you know, being funny, using keywords like they may have to alpha their way in, and then you could hear them saying, I'm not too sure what you mean by that. Basically force their way into the circle, even if they get pressured out by the longbow. It's very important to hear the situational awareness that we can hear from some of these teams as Luminosity fully setting in into Oxygen, who were just stationed up inside this house. They fully sent it in. Not only with a Bangalore smoke to close in the gap, but they get the first up almost immediately.
Yeah,
Oh.
they're doing exactly what they need to do, but the third party is coming in as Oxygen Esports is eliminated from the lobby. Now Yanya forced to try and disengage just a little bit, put a little bit of distance. They could utilize some Bangalore smokes if available to try and kind of hold and control their space, but it looks like the team that was pressuring in from that building is forced to disengage, but jumping on over to TSM, they look a little worse for wear right now. Hal currently down, Verholsten into their life, able to grab that blue shield, and it's E8 that's putting a lot of pressure on them. Meanwhile, Furia going to fall as well.
Yeah, Furia out of this lobby in 16th. Meanwhile, EA are looking to continue on their domination, but they're just being patient, waiting to see what TSM's gonna do. I mean, the circle's closing in right behind them soon here, so they're forced to funnel into E8's line of sight. You can see them just waiting patiently here after finishing off Imperial Howl, but also wondering what's all happening on the other side with the circle closing in. I'm expecting the likes of 100 Thieves to still be on the edge of that circle after EA and TSM are done. They're taking to the skies, but they take too much damage. Burrows took too much of that circle damage. Oh, that's gonna be it for TSM. What an unfortunate end at the very end to the hands of our E8 squad. We also saw on the feed Luminosity Gaming making sure that they could stay on top. Our full Mexican squad looking to continue on their own domination. Yanya's shots were on fire earlier with that car.
Yeah, and Jaguars, in addition to the team, as opposed to an enemy go, you know, we saw him on a different roster in the lobby, but now cutting on board to Space Station, dropped Frex and Xena. Let's see just how their positioning is going to help them here, because as this ring continues to pull into that spot that the guard is holding, it's going to be really tight, spicy, right? They have to. They want to alpha that. And Slept On, meanwhile, going to fall. But Space Station utilizing the Bangalore smokes, the digi threats, trying to control the area and keep that upper hand in the fight, which is interesting, right? Because we're in a scan meta. Seer's Tactical gives you the ability to combat that Bangalore smoke, but Cloud9 is just stuck in this bunker. And I feel like we've seen this picture before in EMEA, Vicky.
Yeah, we've seen this time and time again. We've seen very similar situations. The Space Station are looking to rotate on the outskirts of this little dome-shaped building here over to the side. It's a bit open here, but taking to the high ground, they're going to be able to have that advantageous position over the teams that are forced to funnel their way out of down beast. C9, I give it up this spot that they were originally holding since the very beginning. Maybe they got overzealous. They wanted to get ahead of the curve and maybe secure some KP, but with that, they're allowing the likes of other teams like Space Station to take control over their own building that they were holding originally.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting how Cloud9 decides to get out of the scenario that they are in. You mentioned that they're not really doing too well in the standings and they need to start off on a strong foot, but Frexes jumps down, tries to get a cheeky angle on Cloud9 inside. A lot of gas going out, but there's a digi threat on this car, and Frex sees the victim inside, but there is a pole there in front of him, so he's not able to shoot necessarily through that. But there's 13 seconds. But this is what you get, but Jet goes down to the hands of Frex, who absolutely flips on him. That is what you need to do.
Oh, they were trying to creep up on them. Look how quick Tripod said, oh, never mind, we're so sorry. They turned around so quick. Jet literally turned the corner, and the reaction time from Space Station said, we're gonna beam this guy. We're not even gonna finish him. They're taking to the skies because they want to utilize this skyward dive so that way they can get deeper into circle, but they need to separate from Frex.
Oh, Frex, an inch of life, but able to survive. Cloud9 also crawling out of the bunker that they were in, taking to that skyward dive. But this is not going to be good. There's not a lot of buildings in the area. You're looking at essentially a trench system throughout this area of the map, and there's no free moments to land. You're forced to kind of utilize these supply bins as the only cover, but now you're in the center of an entire lobby.
And you feel like you're literally out in the open. I mean, that's what they are, is Luminosity cleaning up 100 thieves. Talk about the trenches. Luminosity is deep in it right now. You can see right now the feed also lighting up Space Station with a lot of the trouble coming in as Luminosity are looking to just loot up, reset. The Seer Tactical coming in, giving that information, hiding behind the Newcastle wall on top of it. Not even they're running the Newcastle, but they gotta work with what they got here when there's little to no cover in these trenches.
Hey, if you're gonna take down 100 thieves, you get the rewards, you get the Newcastle wall, and you get all of the loot from Onmu, Scurry, and co. And that is exactly what they're doing, finding themselves within that top 10 and elimination points here in map number 1. And, you know, shots going out. So this is going to be the moment where everything kind of dictates the pacing of this game. We are in that 5th circle, and now all of these teams are gonna be collapsing upon one another, and I fully expect it to cut in half. The question is, how is the guard doing? They said they had the alpha spot and they just had to hold it. Are they still throwing it down in that moment?
Yeah, I think they are. They're still in the trenches and they're deep in it, and I believe they may be put into a sandwich situation if they're not careful. We know that Luminosity is right behind them too as E8 gets some shots taken at them. They need to start moving into that next circle soon. You got less than 30 seconds on the clock, and E8 are trying to feel out what's happening right in front of them. They don't really have a lot of that information, just minus the Seer Tactical. They're going to be able to know with the heartbeat sensor that there is a squad to their left, but they also were getting pinged by a squad right in front of them on the high ground. So you see the guard has the middle, ESA on the left side of the guard. I know Luminosity is to the right of guard. Now we have to wonder where the rest of these squads are with the exhibition coming out.
Hey, Tripod's able to get the reset onto Gent, which is exactly what they needed to do. And with Nick Merckx on the Watson, able to fence in the area and keep their space kind of locked down. Sure, someone's taking to the sky and Nick Merckx is throwing some shots down. It's like throwing spaghetti at a wall. We just want it to stick. Meanwhile, E8 going to fall.
E8 gone, and it was at the hands of Saucer with that bow check sign as police also out of this lobby. 8 squads left as Tripods still hold on to dear lives, still have that exhibition out, so that way they know where all these other teams are rotating to, because they're not in the next circle, but they want to make sure they're not caught in the middle of the rotation.
Ooh, Tripod's getting pushed out into the line of sight of the guard, and Cloud9 going to fall. But the fact that Tripods is able to walk up very slowly, great Jenny there from Tripods, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Sure, Jen is able to grab it down onto Ludo, so we know ESA is in the mix now, but can they keep it alive?
We have to see desperately. You see the shield swaps coming in from Tripods. You see literally Nick Merckx was one, and it was ESA waiting for them on the other side. The arc started to do the nail in the coffin from Capra. Here comes the guard now, moving in, finding an opportunity. ESA, though, continuously as a duo have added in enough pressure to prevent the guard from pushing in as a third party after that previous fight with Tripods. Luminosity still have been claiming these heads. Look at this. They got 7 KP to their name, and we got 4 squads left in this lobby.
I love that you bring up the KP count, because the guard has been here since the start of the game. Now is the time for them to reap the rewards and find as much KP as they can. RKN with those 30-30 shots, finding some connections on the other side. Keon getting tagged up, but they have so much loot from all the fights that have been happening. They have some easy shield swaps. So now it's Luminosity, SZN, and the guard running it down here in the end game, but it's like a chess game right now. Vicky, who is going to move first?
Season definitely doesn't want to be put in the situation where they're going to inevitably get sandwiched in these trenches. Guard is in a really good spot themselves, but the moment that they get on this high ground, you know that Luminosity Gaming not only have the natural cover of that rock, they're going to beam the guard before they have an opportunity. Now, the guard, I'm wondering if they're going to be able to get to that rock to their left side for some makeshift cover, because if they walk forward, even past these Watson fences, they're going to be sandwiched between these two teams.
Yeah, and we've seen that happen all day in EMEA. It's always the first 2 3v3s that kind of start focusing their attention while the other just waits in tow for that perfect moment to third party. And you can see right now Season just trying to work their way in, but a big Bangalore ultimate coming in from Luminosity, just wreaking havoc on the surrounding area. Brilliant time to do it. Throw out your smokes and use those digi threats to just create havoc.
Yeah, they have the Rolling Thunder for space, but they don't have the Seer for information on the heartbeat sensor. I'm not too sure if they know that there's a member of Season right behind them. Yeah, they're rocking the Bloodhound, but they got to scan in that direction. Season now taking a nice off angle. This is the rock that I was expecting the guard to try to retreat to. With Season having the high ground now, they don't have to overextend. They can just wait for the opportunity to dive in after they start fighting.
You mentioned it. Season looking like a fishbowl right now. They are just picking apart the team below them, and they are just looking at every single person. Mr. Hakula putting down so much damage with that car, finding a lot of success. Kenny able to grab the down onto Yanya, and now it's an all-out brawl here in map number 1.
And this is because they have the high ground, they have the positional advantage. Luminosity is out. It's now up to Season to finish off the guard who are playing off the low ground. And Season, the team that you were looking out for, Tip, take game number 1 over the guard and Luminosity.
You can't see me right now, but I am literally dancing in my chair. That is exactly what Season needed to do. This is the day of revenge, of vengeance, of coming back strong. Maybe you didn't have the best match day first showing, but now that our first round robin is coming to a close, all of the teams looking to prove themselves and Season on top.
They were sitting, second to last in the overall leaderboards before we got started today. Not only did they play so patiently for positioning, but they also took the positional advantage when they saw Luminosity Gaming drop down. They went into the trenches to face off against the guard. They basically got counter-rotated on by Season, and Season was able to clean up shop against 2 old squads, securing a good amount of KP at the very end.
And that's exactly what they need to do, because when you worry about getting to a position and you're setting up shop for the end game, did you get there too early, or did you not get enough mid-game KP to couple that with your placement points? But Season looking so strong on that end game, just firing on everyone, picking up elimination point after elimination point. I'd be so excited to see just how many points they garnered.
Yeah, I can't wait to break down the highlights from that first game to see where they're sitting in the overall standings. Again, that was just game number 1, but we still got 2 more games on Storm Point before we make the little swap off into World's Edge. Season with a nice composition change up, though. I would like to see what Season's been bringing out differently into this week. And I also want to highlight some different things I wasn't expecting. I know we've been seeing Sentinels rock the Revenant for quite some time now, but we also saw Luminosity coming in with the Bloodhound. We've been seeing a lot of Bangalore in this lobby as well. A nice mix-up when it comes to the different team comps from our legends, because then you still see the Watson, you still see the crypto EMPs to delete the Watson fences that our 4 Watsons take their time to create for the perimeter that they need. And then we saw the third parties coming in from BR Demons, taking care of Optic Gaming rather early in the lobby, like EA did to TSM in the middle of the rotation.
Yeah, and you talk about comps. Newcastle not finding a lot of success in that legend. Usually, if you're pairing the Watson with the Newcastle, you find yourself in the end games, but 100 Thieves going out early, and you saw Luminosity kind of reaping the rewards and getting their wall towards the end game and all of the loot as well. And now, if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw on Twitter that Crypto is no longer the least picked legend in the ALGS. It's Newcastle, because now you've got, I believe it's Hill on that, and then the guard also has one as well. So 2 Cryptos at least in the lobby, and they're getting all of the information for their teams.
Yeah, and you also don't have to overextend for the beacon. While we look at the highlights right now for match number 1, I'd like to highlight how the beacon control for North Wall was also really important. I mean, beacon control in general in the middle of these rotations are usually fought for. And I like how you highlight the crypto, because with the crypto being in your team comp, you don't have to overextend for that. We saw some early rotations coming in from C9, and you saw what happened to them after they were put in the line of sight of FaZe, but also other teams wanted to get involved in the fight. But they definitely call out where the circle was going to be rotating to very early.
Yeah, and this was such a misfire right here by Optic Gaming, but well done for BR Demons, able to utilize that black hole and force that trident. You're basically saying you're not going anywhere, but Luminosity bringing out the Bangalore. It's not Shiv and Shubi as the last Bangalore main standing. We're seeing a lot more Bangalore throughout, and Oxygen Esports trying to bunker down in the building, but unfortunately, and this as well, very unexpected and uncharacteristic of TSM, so I'm looking to see them answer back in map number 2.
Yeah, they were desperate, so desperate that they took to the skies with Verhos barely having any health in the middle of that skyward dive. Also, this was very funny here. Space Station turning tail to find one of the members of Tripods being Gent to try to contest them. Immediately, Tripods had to tuck their tails and just run to reposition. But it was a lot of chaos on the southern side of this map, not only leading their way outside of Down Beast, but through Checkpoint as well.
Yeah, and here we get to see the POVs from Luminosity's space station towards the end. A lot of rocks providing cover and like the guard holding down that alpha spot. But man, so much talent in this lobby. It's hard to say with Season coming out on top, but this play right here by them just highlighted how well they understood how this ring was going to be proactive, and they just were able to get a line of sight on the teams. Now the question is, how much did it help them?
Yeah, we got to see, because they were struggling a lot. They needed these points desperately to even be in the conversation of our top teams here. While these highlights are playing out, though, it is nice to note the position that Season is sitting in, that high ground, to prevent the guard from even climbing all the way up until that last struggler was immediately deleted, and Season took game number 1, and they took it with 8 kills to their name. ESA also had a pretty heavy frag game themselves, but you can see here, Season walking away with not just the dub of those 12 points, but 8 additional points on top of that with their KP.
Wow, this is such an interesting top 10. The moment I see it, I don't see Optic, I don't see FaZe, I don't see TSM, but what I do see are the teams that set them up for success. You know, the guard looking to run it back, finding themselves with 14 total points after map number 1 coming in second place. Let's go ahead and take a look at the second page to see kind of where the rest of these names are that we've been asking. BR Demons, you saw them kind of putting the nail in the coffin for Optic Gaming, and 100 Thieves looking spicy.
Yeah, you see Furia too right after that, behind TSM. Furia not having a great game themselves, even with his Watson being here. Let's take a look at the overall results, though. After this first match, I know we get to expect Season, of course, to be in that number 1 spot, but with a little gap between themselves and second and third place, Luminosity and the guard tying up together with 14 points after that first game.
Yeah, really strong showing there by Season to start off the day. And now, you said it best, that was just map number 1. We still have 5 more matches remaining for the day and 2 left on Storm Point. But this is the question, can FaZe kind of get it into gear on Storm Point? We don't want to have to worry about the latter half of the day to really garner all their points.
Yeah, it's not just FaZe. We're looking at Furia. We know what TSM is usually used to when it comes to starting things up a little slow too. We're gonna have to see, though. Again, that was just game number 1. On the other side of this break, we got game number 2 for you guys on Storm Point. Welcome back, everyone. Let's not waste any time. Game number 2 is underway, and we are ready to jump into the action as soon as possible. Vicky Kitty here, joined with Spider Tiff, and what a great first game that was to highlight how important positioning was for a team like Seasons to win that over the guard and Luminosity, but gotta highlight the consistency that we keep seeing from the guard.
You know, that's gotta feel good, right? You're coming in from preseason qualifiers. And if I'm not mistaken, is that our first preseason qualifier team to take a map win here in Pro League Split 1? Because if so, congratulations to them. That's gotta feel good. We talk about the momentum and the mental state that a lot of competing can kind of have on you, and that just has to carry the momentum. You just got to keep going. You know you can do it, especially in such a stacked lobby with names like FaZe, Optic, 100 Thieves, TSM, so many legends inside this lobby, and to come out on top of it. But there's the question for you, Vicky. If you're a TSM and you have a zone that is pulling nearby the wall of your drop spot POI in which you won twice, what do you do now? How do you come back from that moment?
You stay put and you make sure that you control that entire side of the circle, especially since this is Storm Point that we're on right now. So the disparity between that high to low ground, between the northern part of the map and the southern part of the map, make a huge difference for the teams that are running the Valkyrie, that have the Skyward Dive to transcend through more ground. We're going to have to see where the circle is going to be taking us into game number 2, as we saw a familiar circle in the Amir region moving towards North Pad. This time around, it was on the outskirts of the trenches where there was little to no cover other than playing off the low ground inside the trench themselves. So it can be difficult to find yourself in a good spot if you decide to rotate early.
Yeah, as all these teams kind of find themselves in their drop spot POI, it's kind of interesting. No one challenging Furia today here at Lightning Rod, relatively scotch-free. I believe it was G2 that kind of full sent them in map number 1 during their group kind of matchup. And they cut tail. They were like, I'm out. They tried it one map and they were like, we're not going for it. But so far, so good. But it's kind of interesting to see all of the teams making their way as the dropship path is kind of cutting the math like east to west. It's usually like top to bottom, so it's a little interesting for me to go that way.
Yeah, and we also get a vision of where this circle is going to be pulling. You can right now see that tripods are going to be sitting happily in antenna. They're going to have the beacon as well to note that where the circle is going to be pulling is going to be pulling in their favor. With their team comp, it's going to work amazingly with the Watson that you highlighted it before from Nick Merckx, where they've been playing a lot for positioning. Seasons, though, as we take a look at our squad that took game number 1, wasting no time. They got the R301 from Hakulo. You got the G7 in the other hand here. And Season are looking to continue that after rotating away from north of wall, but you're gonna have to, or rather north pad, but they're gonna have to transcend through some ground here to get to where the circle is gonna be pulling.
And I think that's going to show just how well they can navigate those mid-game rotations. I highlighted it in the pre-show. They're very smart when it comes to their rotations and making sure that no one is coming in from the backside. Typically, when they get that beacon information, you'll see where that next ring is on their map. They'll kind of play the intersection, the outer skirts of where the current ring and the next ring meet, just so they can isolate make sure there's no one coming in behind them.
We did see a lot of action happening in Down Beast originally. C9 are taking a page out of their own book here from the last game. They said, you know, we rolled up into a lot of the action early on. Although we are hitting a bunch of obstacles on the way, it's fine. You can check your map while we check for enemies in the area, because C9 are now diverting their attention away from Down Beast like we saw in game number 1 and immediately are rotating into that next circle, which plays into their game plan. They have the Loba. So what Rocker wants to do is they probably already got the scan of the beacon. They probably already know it's pulling towards antenna. So instead of wasting time or even wasting a Skyward Dive, waiting for it to come online, they're just going to rotate with the Trident, and then they're going to sit pretty with the black market ready, so that way they can collect all the additional loot that they missed out on since they're not looting right now.
Yeah, Zach Mazer looking a little bit like Dom Toretto right now as they navigate the terrain here in Storm Point. Getting a little rough, but hey, getting Rocker back in the Trident. You got to hit the nitrous boost there because there's nearby people and you do not want to undergo a lot of damage because you just have to keep driving. But you have to get into a nearby building, kind of reset a little bit. And hey, tripods in the vicinity. Nick Merckx with that purple shield, 2 blues, so they are kitted and ready to go. Gent with that G7 Scout. We saw what happened to him when he faced off against Space Station, so we don't want to have any unsuspecting people in the area.
I'm worried right now with tripods actually trying to figure out where C9 is pulling up to. You know that Trident made a lot of noise, and we can predict that the circle could continuously go more south. So I'm expecting more teams to get into the Gale Station fish farm areas. You can even hear the Skyward Dives coming in. It's C9, and this is what their game plan is. In case the Trident doesn't work out for them, they can get information with the Skyward Dive, and then they can solidify where they want to sit down in for this building. So even though they don't have the Watson, they're going to be able to get information off of that Skyward Dive with the Valkyrie passive, take it to the sky, see what other squads are making the rotation in this area, and now they're going to be able to stay here with the black market to collect any additional loot that they need.
Yeah, my only issue with this building is there's so many entryways and there's no way to fortify this building for Cloud9. Yes, you've got a black market to get as many shield swaps as you can possibly handle, but hey, let's cut on over to Optic, who's getting into a little bit of scuffle here on the outskirts of Antenna. You've got the information. They have a little bit of shield disparity aside from the team that they're pushing in, but we just gotta say it. I'm ready to see something cool out of you, dupe.
Oh, and I'm ready to see something cool happen from Sentinels. They got the Revenant Totem out and about. You see Lou with the pings, but they're not looking to get aggressive. They're going to use this Death Totem as a way to just reposition instead. A very passive approach here from Sentinels, and that is exactly what they want to do. They saw that there was a squad right next to him, but they didn't want to take the risk of fully sending it onto them with the Death Totem protection onto them.
That's kind of an interesting call, and I love that you highlighted that because that's a definite different use of what we're seeing out of Revenant. I have trauma in the past from being rev-tamed back in the day, so seeing this as a defensive approach, all right, Lou, okay, Sentinels, we see you, Tech, but Oxygen Esports getting poked and prodded and now caught out into the open, trying to finesse their way out. We see Senpai right here, kind of just doing a little hop, skip, jump away on the Gibby, but the movement is on point.
Yeah, he's got to dance around a little bit. He's a big boy, so he doesn't want to get hit with this bigger hurt box. And I love how you pinpointed that different comp. I mean, I get the PTSD as well, especially when I hear the jump pads sometimes. My little Bloodhound legs can only take me so far, but there is a spot that just landed right next to Oxygen. And with that Horizon gravity lift, it's got to be TSM. They said, make way. We're also going to force our way into this building here next.
And this is what they need to do. After that match number 1, they need to find some success and get some early fights in there. A great black hole sucking Oxygen into it. And now TSM able to really quickly wipe up that fight. Oxygen Esports, your first team eliminated here in map number 2. And now TSM able to have those purple shields, utilizing kind of that heartbeat passive to make sure no one is pushing in immediately on them.
That was such a quick fight for TSM. I mean, they landed on top of them and took every open area in those windows to actually contest Oxygen. Let's do a listen into TSM to see what their next move is going to be if they want to station up inside this house.
Yeah, that scared the shit out of me. You're done looting, I need loot.
Valkyrie from back antenna.
Yep.
Yep.
Hop in, I'll take so.
Everyone else hasn't looked, so I don't know if you want to... Maybe you should just keep it for now.
I'm gonna hold it, yeah. Can you hold it, Jordan? Or better for you to hold it?
I can hold it, I can hold it. I have 3 bats.
I have 3
There's
as
no
well.
light.
I have 300 light.
I have 24 light.
I'm dropping you light.
Okay, I can't carry the rest.
Light ammo here.
Is there a cog anywhere extra?
I don't think so. I'm breaking all these doors here on this building.
I feel like these... Yeah, we don't want these swaps right on the doorway when they're slamming inside. They're gonna be in the corner.
There's a low bolt on me, by the way. You can use it. It's inside.
These
There's a
swaps
purple
are in
armor.
the corner, okay?
Oh, yeah. There is a thread that... Oh, no, it's not.
I'm gonna grab that wingman later and drop the charge.
You sure you have nades?
I have no nades. Not for
Yeah, I
nades,
need to
unless
find
it's on
nades.
There's nades on the low bolt inside
Okay,
of this
okay.
building.
Hearing them talk about the amount of nades that they're working with, the equipment that they need before they make their next move. I mean, thank you to the Lobo who just dropped her black market here at our feet. We'll definitely take one of those. TSM being very grateful, are taken to the rooftops right now to overlook any of the other teams that are making the rotation outside of antenna.
And they got gifted a replicator from the Apex gods above. So now they have the moment. Sure, maybe you didn't have enough bats and you want to craft on them, but slept on taking to the skies and making their way out into that Gale Station Fish Farms area. But the issue is here, how many teams have we already seen rotate into these buildings that can be found below? Sure, you're pinging, but you've got to say, is there someone in there? The season is looming, waiting for this action.
Yeah, Clay picking up a KP real quick before backing up on the Bangalore. You saw the wingman in his hands, and you saw how he was able to not only land some of those headshots, but also able to back away off of coming out of that win. But slept on now in a lot of trouble here too. Boat restabilizing with the shield bat. Do they know where Boat is right now? They know exactly where BR Demons is, and they did lose out on Aiden, but they're gonna get the resin, and they are gonna have enough time to go in for a reset.
Yeah, I would love to see BR Demons fight through the mid game, make it all the way till end to see just how well they can prove themselves here. Because we've seen a lot of really interesting fights out of them, especially utilizing the Horizon Ultimate to really prevent Optic Gaming from escaping their claws. So now BR Demons finding themselves inside this building, kind of hard to hold on to, but Vane's got that PK in hand, and they are just looking for Boat kind of looming below, and Vane dropping down. PK gonna hit for 36, and now the open chaoticness is ensuing. But it seems like that Valkyrie is gonna take the skies, get out of there. So Vane trying to find some information on where that last player is gonna go, but it looks like an Amigo from first attempt is gonna go ahead and clean that up.
And we take those two. There was literally one-shot Valkyrie right there and served on a silver platter in the hands of Enemigo. So he's going to be able to capitalize off of that as VR Demons are going to be playing patiently inside this building. As they showed, there's like 5 to 6 squads in this area alone. It's absolutely insane. You still got C9 in the area, Optic Gaming, Guard are going to make their rotation here soon, Luminosity. It's insane here as VR Demons are just trying to get enough information to figure out where they can rotate to safely with Fade being on the seer.
A lot of people making their way in. This is going to be a rather precarious in-game. I feel like anytime we come to the south side of Storm Point, things get just a little bit, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but hey, you've got the information coming in from an enemy team looking to kind of put some pressure onto BR Demons. We get a little freeform shot here of James Fearless and co. You got Sign Us Please just getting pelted and punished by a charge rifle looming around. Now, when you think of charge rifle, I think I saw one in the hands of Verholst earlier on.
Yeah, it's either Verholst or Reps. I know Reps absolutely loves that charge rifle. I mean, when he was back on the Gibby, that was like one of the best things ever. Not only could he just farm Evo shield charge for free, but of course having that shield that comes out of your arm as Gibby is always nice to see. But it's probably Verholst. We see the charge rifle used up a lot, especially on Storm Point, because of all the skyward dives that you see, but also a lot of the open area that a lot of these teams could capitalize off of from the pressure of that one weapon alone. Sinus Please also taking some shots from the 30-30. Got the 2x4 scope. It's one of my favorite scopes personally. You can see here Synced also has the 2 times on that G7, and Esports Arena says, knock, knock, we got something even better. We got the Kraber in our hand, and I'm not too sure if they know that Esports Arena is creeping up from right behind them.
Yeah, you've got the young gun Capra, one of the youngest in the North American ALGS Pro League here. And if you're going to put a Kraber in their hands, you are throwing it down. This is the first time we're getting that look at Luda on the ESA team. As you guys didn't know, Luda was previously competing under that MPL squad, who has recently picked up Shubi in Luda's replacement. So a couple changes going in the midweeks, and I'm really curious to see, will this be the trio that finds success? I know Phony, Fury, and Capra did incredibly well in those preseason qualifiers, but now is the time. They have picked up Luda, and they are currently sitting in 5th place after map number 1, currently setting themselves up for that end game here.
Yeah, you talk about Capra. Capra is such an impressive player. ESA in general, they are so quick to adapt around having new members on the squad. Sinus Please, though, they're not going to be moving anywhere. They're taking their time still. They had enough information. Not too sure if they know that ESA is within the area with a Kraber in their hands. You can see them take a shot just yet. TSM also with the Massive in their hands, taking that out of the crate. You can see Reps just utilizing the heartbeat sensor to make sure that they can cut off any rotation from any of the stragglers that are exiting out of antenna.
Yeah, I really love this. I don't usually check Twitter, but I got a tweet, and I want to give a shout out to my homie Mellowcrit. I've had some experience working with him. He gave a huge shout out to Season, taking that win there in map number 1, talking about their ring knowledge as TSM going under fire and being poked and prodded from afar. But no worries here. Hal has plenty of bats and syringes, etc., available to them to make sure that they have the utilities to go the distance.
Something to note here, too, with TSM's position is where the circle is going to be pulling, because this could be a tricky situation for TSM, even if they opt to contest the 2 squads that are between themselves and rotating around this big rock, unless they decide to go past that choke point that's right behind them that leads them up that hill. They're going to be in a tough situation with less than 30 seconds on the clock. You could expect the skyward dive, but how far is it going to take them before they're met and circle kept by the likes of C9 or BR Demons that we note that are holding the buildings in Gale Station where the circle is going to be pulling?
Yeah, and I think that's going to be one of the moments where all of these teams will really separate themselves here in map number 2. I can guarantee that Season is kind of at an intersection. You can see right there on the picture of the map on your screen, Season is nestled in on that edge, kind of just waiting. And you've got FaZe, you've got Sign Us Please, you've got ESA and TSM and E8 that all need to come into the ring, as well as Furia. So the question is, with the chokehold in place, who is going to find success? Because that Valk ultimate is going to be such a risky endeavor to undertake here.
Yeah, the choke point bosses right now that are closing up the gap between themselves and these choke points. Ooh, an EMP coming in, though. I'll hold that thought with the EMP coming in. Guard are looking to fully send it to have an opportunity, because there's another squad on the other side of that squad, and Guard recognized that, said it's not worth it. Yeah, we got the cracks with the Arc Stars. Yeah, you may be feeling yourself right now, but RKN understanding that the other squad on the other side of Furia are looking to try to capitalize off of this fight.
Hey, playing it smart. And honestly, Keon on the alternator is giving me life. I always love this weapon. It really just has minimal recoil, and Keon undergoing a lot of damage here. But let's cut on over. FaZe on the edge of zone right now, just fighting for their life, trying to stay alive. They're going to get the full elim on Sign Us Please, but now they're undertaking a lot of shots from a third party, and that's going to be Luda, which is in the form of ESA. Now Slurp, last man standing here, and the young gun on FaZe. Can you keep it alive? Yes, you've got that gold shield, but is it enough?
No, it's not. FaZe get eliminated. They waited way too long. They were in a really good position uphill, but they didn't want to find their way into that next circle because, again, we have the likes of BR Demons holding the other side of where this next circle is going to be pulling. Garter finally making their next move under the guise of the Bangalore smoke, and Furia get deleted. I mean, they capitalized off of a bad positioning that Furia took because they used the Skyward Dive in a circle like this with, what, there was 15, 16 squads still alive before we're now down to 13 squads. So it was very risky at this point in time to navigate your way through this circle with the Skyward Dive with so many squads in the area. And when I was talking about the final bosses of these choke points, I was thinking about E8. I was thinking about BR Demons who are on the other side. Optic Gaming as well are still holding on to that final circle positioning to the south of Gale Station.
I can respect that. I think that's one of the moments where if you can hold on to that positioning that you have from Optic Gaming and no one is going to chow you for your god spot, you hold on to that and you find yourself some success here in map number 2. But E8 finding themselves in a precarious situation here, nestled alongside this ledge. You've got the likes of TSM ready and waiting to pick up these elimination points. So if you're E8, you've got to find a way to get past the demons of TSM. And how do you do that? Do you take to the sky knowing that a lot of this ring is going to be filled with 12 other squads looking to pick you up as well?
You got 10 seconds to make that decision right now. They are going to take it to the skies. They're not even going to risk trying to have an opportunity to third-party TSM if they find themselves in a fight. They're just waiting. They're talking real quick to figure out where they want to land because this could be a very risky situation. Let's do a quick listening to EA to see what they do after they land in this tight circle.
Anybody here? Say, no, go here, go here. No one's here.
Go, go, go.
Use the rocks to LOS.
Armory shooting at us.
Shoot left, shoot left, shoot left, shoot left. 87.
We're getting nades. We're getting walked up on the right. Walked up on the right.
I ulted right. I don't know where they are. I have no.
They just have
I can't see
digis.
them.
They have digis. Just play Nox. Just play Nox for now. Gotta hold our Nox this way. No.
For our squad to be in right now. TSM also getting deleted at the same time as E8 after their Skyward Dive. That's what happens. That's the risk that we were talking about before. And, you know, we've seen the spot like that be contested with these final circles pulling that direction, but there's little to no cover. You could hear the comms saying, we could try to LOS them through this rock, but there was too many teams shooting at them in different angles.
Yeah, you've got to find some way, shape, or form as cover. You've got Atlanta Premier on your screen right now, utilizing this fence coupled with the Watson fences to try and make something happen. Cloud9 looking a little worse for wear, but trying to stay alive is going to be Zach Mazer, and unfortunately, Season is going to be the ones to put the nail in that coffin for them. So Cloud9 back to the lobby, and Season sitting in third place right now with 26 points, perfectly kitted out. Now, the question is, how are they going to approach this very open circle? You have the Bangalore, so you have some smokes, but yes, Seers can kind of scan through that and get the information, but nothing to fortify your entryway outside of this. And with only one building nestled in left, you know there's going to be a lot of people kind of cohabitating that area.
Yeah, especially since Optic Gaming got a really good read on where this circle is going to be pulling. I believe that actually may be Optic fighting over in the distance where ESA is looking at a lot of the action, and it is he actually scoops up those single one-hit shot of Skittle Cakes, who was fighting against Luminosity Gaming. You know, we take those. Esports Arena, they're eating great here. They have a good amount of KP to their name, but they got to inch a little bit forward into that next circle. I know the sliver of this high ground is in that next circle, and they're going to be able to get enough information at the squads that are rotating from down below.
Yeah, and I love that they're sitting on the high ground, but you run that risk. If you stay here too long, you have to jump down eventually, right? And you're going to be in the line of sight of every team in the lobby once you do leave, and you're going to draw a lot of attention to yourself. But speaking of drawing attention to themselves, you can see the team in front of them making their move in, and ESA is just absolutely raining fire from above, trying to get a cheeky shot. Is going to be Luda, but they're nestled on the other side of the fence. Luda able to get it down onto Kenny, but the question is, if you're not going to jump off your high ground to pursue it, did they get the full? Because you can see on the left hand of your screen, Atlanta Premier just trying to remain on that rock, but taking so much damage from the storm.
Insane. 5 squads left with Atlanta Premier. They're unable to get out of that position now. You can see Luminosity Gaming still cleaning up a lot of these heads here. Looks like enemy in a lot of trouble themselves as ESA are finally dropping down. I mean, they got the Digi-Threat, you got the Volt, but you don't want to overextend because you have limited ammunition here too. I'm looking at Capra with 73 bullets in the Volt, but they also saw that there's a team right behind them. They're going to be able to loot at least a little bit extra, but I'm wondering if we're going to see a weapon swap. I mean, this Volt is too stacked to give up.
I mean, it looks pretty stacked. I wouldn't want to give it up. I'd be like, let me find some energy ammo. But Capra gonna get punished for remaining up on the rooftop. Luda as well. Someone is looking to chow them for their high ground, and that's gonna be Luminosity as Yanya just fires off that 30-30 into them. Capra playing that knockdown shield of Luda and able to get a full bat off, and Yanya just, you know, laid back, chilling from a distance, just being a menace.
Are you kidding me? Yanya with the missile swarm knock onto Capra, who, by the way, got griefed by their own Horizon gravity lift. You saw Capra panicking, saying, where can I go? This is my only cover, but the gravity lift is revealing where I'm at, so that knock was huge. Yanya and the rest of Luminosity are just gonna stay put. They're looking on at all the action happening in this building without even having to give up where their circle positioning is.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. We have a lot of up-and-coming names and teams left in the lobby. First attempt, Enemigo on your screen right now, trying to get rid of that black hole that was thrown towards them. Missile swarm going out, and there's so much damage all around. Bronzy gonna fall saucer into their life, and trying to garner that shield swap is impeccable. You're gonna have to be able to get this res onto Bronzy or play the life as a duo, because BR Demons is also gonna find themselves out as well.
BR Demons out. ESA, Luminosity season first attempt left in this lobby with first attempt going down. That leaves 3 squads up alive, and Luminosity have the god spot right now. Even playing off the low ground, they have so much natural cover to work with, but this position means everything. They cannot get in a sandwiching situation if this squad tries to go to the right.
Ooh, and you can see Niesel right there trying to throw some shots down onto that right side to make sure that no one full pushes Luminosity, but Yanya gonna get absolutely decimated within minimal health available to them, and now you can see the ultimate coming in, trying to really garner a lot of attention and control that space, but ESA just wreaking havoc. Luda gonna fall. The fact that they were able to get the teammates up and reset is kind of insane, and then a PK just going off because there's no ammo left in the car.
Oh, ESA cleaned up Luminosity, but Season with a back-to-back win. Patience is a virtue for this team. Positioning is everything, and they are your game number 2 winners once again.
Vicky, how is this even happening? This is insane. Season, what are you doing to this lobby? You are playing this so intelligently, and look at Vicky's face is saying it. She's just like, what is happening?
Let's bring in Fallout to break down the action at the end of that game too, because I definitely need a breather after that one.
Yeah, absolutely you do. Season goes back-to-back. Free agent squads, by the way. The young guns are showing up today. Kudos to the Season squad. And on top of that, I just got a moment to say, Viva Mexico. LG dominates with a 15-plus kill game for themselves as well. That and much more to break down as I welcome Tiff back to the broadcast here. We're going to give Vicky a very, very quick break. Tiff, oh my goodness, Season is looking untouchable.
Untouchable. I mean, that's one way to describe it. It's pretty crazy what they're able to do. When you think of this lobby and you look at the groups B and C matchups, Season isn't probably your first name that you look at and you're like, oh yeah, I think they're going to be the ones that win map number 1 and 2, but they have done it. So congrats to them.
Yeah, insane games. And they're also doing it with high kill points. They're making it to top 3 with at least 4, 5, 6 kills, picking up the last 2 or 3 as well. So, I mean, 2 games like that, we saw it yesterday or last on Thursday at least with FaZe, will project you into the top 3 and help you cement that spot. If they can keep relative consistency up the rest of the way, we might be saying that Season are your winners of the ALGS Pro League this week over the likes of TSM, Optic, a dominant Atlanta Premier, Space Station, other squads that have been playing so incredibly well. again, a lot of respect for this team. In addition to them, Esports Arena, really consistent games. ESA had a really good chance to win actually game number 1. Luda got knocked. It ended up costing them a high kill game, but they didn't get the placement. This time around, they do get a little bit better placement as well. So it's really all of our, non kind of name brand teams that are performing. Season, ESA, LG, of course, is the one exception to that rule, as they perform incredibly well with a 15 kill game in Bangalore, by the way.
Yeah, it's one of those moments where it's like, what are they doing differently than, I don't want to call them name brand, but you're right, those high tier organizations that are the typical mainstays here in ALGS. It's like, there's clearly something different that a lot of these people that feel they have something to prove, because you know that they're looking for organizations down the line. So Season should definitely be getting the eyes. They've got a lot of attention on them. I believe I saw Slept on there in the end game as well. BR Demons with their incredible pop-off moments. But you got the Demons, you've got Reeds, you've got Aiden. It's just so many talented individuals here.
Yeah, that's right. Very, very impressive. Kudos to all of our new talent in Apex. Obviously, we're only 2 games down. We still have an entire World's Edge to go. But again, similar story on the flip side of that coin. It is the top kind of storyline teams. FaZe, again, not showing up necessarily on Stormpoint. TSM gets out in 10th or 11th. Optic showed a really good rotation. You thought maybe we're going to see the Optic of old again here. They're rotating to God spot and able to secure good positioning, and LG just pulls up on them and takes them out.
Yeah, and that's tough, right? If you're going to set yourself up for that end game success and you're like, hey, this is the God tier positioning, this is going to take us well into that end game, similar to how we saw the Guard in map number 1 kind of alphaing that area. You have to know that you are risking not having any KP throughout that mid game, and if you go out early, you're just gonna have nothing. So you have to go in with that in mind and know that you have to win every fight that you get chowed on in that position. You cannot drop to the first 3v3.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. You also know you're sacrificing KP. You also know that you're going to be having teams try to take that God spot from you, and that's exactly what happened from LG right there. Let's take a look at the overall highlights, though, from game number 1. You're going to see a lot of Luminosity Gaming, the Mexican sensation trio, picking up Jaguars or Jaguares on this team. Big roster change, dropping Enemigo, despite the success that they had in their first year with Enemigo on the team. A lot of criticism for that decision, but boy, oh boy, is it not looking to pay off. We'll see LG start to light it up momentarily here, but Tiff, walk me through what we saw in some of this early game.
Hey, we saw Keon running around with that alternator. Sign us, please. Trying to find some distance here outside the ring, but the Guard just picking up a lot of success here, eliminating. It's kind of funny when you have Keon versus Watson, they're friends and taking each other out here, and that's just kind of how it is. A lot of these teams, when they play ranked offline and on stream, they're playing with their friends, so to see them go up against these lobbies, but everyone just falling. The big names, Cloud9, Zach Mazer trying to give a good last stand, but ESA on this rooftop fall. This was interesting.
Yeah, you're spot on. It was the who's who of Apex basically getting taken out over and over again at our feet. You saw Furia, you saw TSM, you saw the Guard, and then of course you saw Cloud9, and here we go in the end. It's Season, First Attempt, and Esports Arena, some of your last teams alive alongside LG. Again, not the names you would have expected. Big shout out, and kudos to them. They are turning up here against these top tier pros, some of our qualifier teams, and it's just a great story to say. Any one of you watching right now could be one of these top players here in this lobby. These teams just qualified weeks ago for Pro League in our open qualifiers that anyone could have signed up for. Luminosity, though, with a huge game. You see the kill total on their top right of their screen. In the end, Season gets first place with 5, but it's going to be LG on top in overall points because of the 15 kill bomb that they dropped alongside ESA with 11. Both of them go double digits, Steph.
That's kind of nutty. I wasn't expecting Luminosity to have 15 eliminations, because at that point, that just goes to show you how important it is to make sure that you're garnering eliminations throughout the entirety of your journey into that end game. But Atlanta Premier rounding out just outside your top 5. But you mentioned it right there. Those preseason qualifiers, Season, First Attempt, ESA, BR Demons, that's who stands out to me just alone in the top 10.
That's insane. 4 of our top 5 teams, all quals, I believe, from the open qualifiers. Crazy to think about. And by the way, shout out to Ben, our producer, who pointed out that match day 1 for Season, they finished in 19th place with only 16 points. They're already well over that in the overall standings and results. Speaking of the overall standings and results, if we could take a look at the series standings, After 2, it's Season on top, but not as far on top as you thought they'd be with back-to-back wins because of the low kill game number 2. Luminosity's right behind him, Tiff.
Yeah, and I think the note here is look at the disparity between 3rd and 4th place. You've got Esports Arena in top 3 with 33 points, and then the Guard after them, 16 points. Now, granted, we are only 2 maps in, and you still have a couple remaining. To be able to garner yourself a 20-plus point win, this could shake up at any point as long as one of our other teams decide, hey, we're gonna pop off here just like Luminosity, just like Season, and just like ESA. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, this Pro League day is far from over. A lot to discuss, and we're going to welcome back Vicky Kitty to help us discuss it all. Hope you enjoyed your break. And in the standings were just shown on screen there, Vicky. Despite TSM falling relatively early in Game 1 and 2, they still find themselves in 6th place. So again, this is really anyone's tournament at this point.
Yeah, even more impressive to see that Luminosity is literally right there behind Season after they took 2 games back-to-back with those 12 additional points for taking the dub. Yeah, they secured it with some KP, but Luminosity's going crazy. And can we talk about the comp that they're running to do so? I mean, the Bloodhound out here, the Bangalore. I know Shiv is extremely happy about that one. He made a tweet earlier is highlighting Luminosity Gaming's comp, but this is so nice to see LG really pop off with their roster and the composition that they're running together on Storm.
Yeah, I love that. The week after Diff Q and Zipith sent off a farewell to that squad. It was so much fun to watch Shiv, Diff, and Zipith play together. Well, they are reborn in the form of the Young Gods, the Mexican God Squad, Luminosity Gaming, representing an entire sub-region of Mexico. Well, guess what? Game number 3, our last game on Storm Point, is live. And to call the action, we got Spider Tiff and Vicky Kitty. Take it away and take us through our last game on Storm Point.
Thank you so much, Follow. Yeah, our last game on Storm Point, and I'm wondering if we're gonna have history repeat itself, Tiff, because we saw a similar start for FaZe in their day number 2 of playing. Now they've been kind of quiet here on Storm Point, wondering if this is just not a strong map for them before we see a huge shakeup maybe going into World's Edge.
Look, this is only the 2nd time that we've seen them here in Split 1 Pro League, and I'm gonna have to say it. Every time FaZe tries to play aggressive zone, it does not pan out for them. The moment they go into World's Edge, grab that 3rd ring beacon, and start finding success, setting themselves up in a god tier position, they come out with a map win with massive elimination. So I'm channeling the team right now mentally. I'm thinking, hey, come on, maybe change up your strats. You've got to do it sooner rather than later because only top 9 will be advancing onto those playoffs. So you got to start now.
As we take a look at Season and their drop spot over in North Pad, it's also really nice to highlight the trajectory of where they had to traverse in terms of the ground and Storm Point to get to that final circle in game number 2. They went from North Pad all the way over to Gale Station and securing a building off the rip because they were holding on to the left side of that final circle for a very long time. So again, very impressive showing from a team like Season who had a rather weak day number 1 to then be able to get ahead of the curve and actually prioritize positioning more than anything else.
And I think that's kind of the key to success. And I really hate harping on that because sometimes it may not be as fun to play zone because there's a fine line. There's rotating in too early, and we've talked about that. If you take that god tier positioning too early on in game, you run the risk of all the teams looking to kind of eliminate you from that position. So you have to be able to defensively hold off any 3v3 fights that come your way. But throughout the mid game, you've got to do it. You've got to set yourself up for success with these end games having so many teams, especially in a stacked lobby such as Groups B versus C. You've got to do it.
Yeah, as we look at Slept On, I saw dropping the longbow while keeping the Mosin. I'm like, that has to be a mistake. And then Psycho was like, yeah, you're right. And picks up the longbow in addition to that flatline. Always nice to see. A lot of loot for Slept On to work with here in Cenote Caves, another purple Evo shield. I want to take a look at the map. I want to see where this map is going to be taking us for a lot of our teams because we saw early rotations going into Fish Farms, into Gale Station. You can see some teams already making their move. I mean, with so many teams already in this area alone, north of Shipfall, this tells me that the circle is probably going to be pulling towards the eastern side of the map. Just waiting to see if we could get a big version of the map here on the screen for everybody to notice because a lot of these teams have already had access to a beacon depending on where they land for their POIs, if it was granted to them. And there it is. Yeah. Oh, this is huge for Luminosity. Doesn't Luminosity land in Fish Farm? So this should work into their gameplay even better right now, looking at the fact that we're going to have a Fish Farm circle, unless that early fighting is actually coming in from Luminosity and a lot of the other teams rotating from Launchpad all the way way south for Fish Farms.
Yeah, there's BR Demons at the top of the hill, looming within, waiting to see what kind of action is going on as all of these teams make their way over towards Fish Farms. You've got a Valkyrie ultimate in the distance, and it looks like BR Demons are going to take themselves to the sky as well. One of our other preseason qualifier teams looking to find the same amount of success as season, so they're going on their merry way throughout the travesty of this map here. And this is such an interesting area of Stormpoint, and a lot of these custom maps tend to pull towards this area. So you're right in highlighting that Luminosity does land down here, so you garner all your loot, you prep for all the teams that are making their way to you, and if you're getting 15 eliminations in map 2 alone, and now everyone is coming to you, this is your moment to shine.
Yeah, it may not be a dub in their name for the last 2 games that we've seen, but this could definitely be a dub with the necessary KP that they need to not only topple over seasons, but to start making that gap between themselves and the rest of this lobby. Like we noted before, those first 2 spots going in favor of Luminosity and Seasons is definitely in Luminosity's favor, just looking at the KP that they're able to obtain. The only thing they're missing is that #1 placement that they need to secure those 12 extra points. 100 Thieves, though, one of our more quiet teams, as you can see right here, situated in 15th overall after those last 2 games. They've only secured 4 points, and they're looking to keep taking their time. They want to prioritize loot right now because their goal with the Watson and the Newcastle is just to bunker down.
Well, if you're Luminosity from map #1, you're like, yeah, 100 Thieves, please prioritize your loot so we can take it endgame. No, I'm just kidding, but for real, these IMC armories are so critical to the success. You get just such smart loot, and I have so much fun doing it. They're just basically sending these drones into the Shadow Realm so they can reap the rewards. But Sentinels, this is a team that we're looking to find some success. You've got Lou, formerly on the Gibraltar, making their way, bringing out Revenant, and it really hasn't panned out to find them success just yet.
Yeah, the one time we saw them activate the Death Totem was to see them disengage and repositioning, and with the Skyward Dive now in the middle of Fish Farms, a lot of teams have already made their rotation into these buildings, into a spot where they can overlook where all the other squads rotating from the northern part of the map are going to be in their line of sight. And now you have Sentinels rotating with the Skyward Dive in front of BR Demons, so they're going to put in some pressure. But look at the Watson fences that we already got set up, and the Watson ult. I mean, right now Sentinels, they could sit pretty here, and if anything, they could utilize that Death Totem to actually force their way into taking up that building that BR Demons is situated in.
Ooh, Space Station drop, just getting himself inside the window with an actual centimeter, just like barely. You could have like slapped him with a wet napkin. He was actually one. If you made that call out, it would have been right for 1 point in time, but just trying to reset. Meanwhile, first attempt is going to fall. You can see in the elimination feed, Verholst elected to grab a charge rifle again and is just wreaking chaos over here in the Fish Farms vicinity.
Yeah, Crust is making up his fences. Guard is doing the same exact thing on the other side. You can see the smoke grenade out for one of our teams rocking the Bangalore. You can see them just trying to loot safely as EA are on the outskirts of a lot of the chaos. They're still out in the open for some of these teams to continuously pressure them from the inside of these buildings. You see the Arc Star getting sent out by Mercy, but these fences, though, as Mercy's going to be able to destroy them just ever so slightly before backing away, it's about making a statement. They don't have the crypto and the EMP to immediately delete those fences if they want that building.
Yeah, and also their kind of team composition isn't going to lead them to be able to get inside a building and fortify it from the inside out. They have that aggro team, and Golden just absolutely getting decimated and punished for peeking around the rock. You're like, no, I'm good. I'll just go ahead, hide myself in my hole and heal up because that was not what I intended.
Meanwhile, the charge rifles are grieving this game, this lobby. Verholst getting the knock and the finish onto Vaxlon in the feed. You can expect this to be more persistent, especially in a circle like this, because that's what's going to allow these Evo Shields to get charged up even easier when you have the open line sights through the windows inside the buildings of Fish Farms. Expect the longbow to be a menace. Expect the charge rifle to continuously doing what the charge rifle does best, and that's to melt you as if you're put into a microwave yourself.
Ooh, and on board with Furia, just kind of on the south side of the Spiders. And I kind of like this for them, right? They don't have that composition as well, similar to E8, that's going to lend them to be able to hold down a building, because we know that Watson and co love that aggressive composition. We just haven't been able to see it.
Yeah, they've been struggling a lot, even with his Watson making his appearance right back in the lineup of Furia. Let's go into a listen into Furia to see what their next plan is.
They're playing like the wooden dock. Like right behind this rock.
Scope this quadrant out here.
Who is a scout? You Pen?
Yeah.
You need to shoot those guys. Bro.
I want to hear what they do in terms of, I mean, they're in the next circle, but I want to hear what they do for their next plan for rotations. If they're not going to do anything in the next like 5 to 6 seconds, then we can take it away because I don't want to wait all 20 seconds for them to decide what to do. Okay, yeah, we could take it. All right, Furia, not really much going on in terms of comms. It looks like hopefully the Spirit isn't crushed. I know they're more quiet because they're trying to be more patient here on the edge of this circle. I mean, they want to clean up some KP, but I am seeing Furia in a different light right now, Tiff. This is a team that likes to get hyper-aggressive, fully send it onto teams, even if it costs them risking their own positioning. We saw that a ton over in the championship land. But they're approaching this differently, and they're forced to because this is a team sitting overall in 18th place with only 1 point to their name after the last 2 games.
Well, after that listening, I'm starting to think maybe that could be why, or maybe they're just playing cool, calm, and collected. They don't have to have those comms flowing because they know each other so well, but you gotta have the points to kind of back that story up. So I'm looking to see them find their way into this end game and try to figure something out. But meanwhile, TSM nestled up against this tree is going to be Verholz, the young legend with that charge rifle. Just being a little bit of a charge rifle, Charlie. I'm gonna say it. I'm sorry.
I'm laughing because Vaxon woke up for 1 second. He came in through the dropship for 1 second. His feet didn't even touch the ground, and he got deleted by a charge rifle from TSM and then a G7 shot from the other side. So he didn't even get the chance to even look at the other direction of Fish Farm. So unfortunately, that's some free KP going in favor to one of our other squads that were able to land their shots after that dropship had dropped Vaxlon like heavyweight, and now TSM are looking to clean up what's happening right behind them. Remember, Furia is not too far off from this point of view as well, as TSM are just looking to ping down any of the other stragglers that are looking to rotate into that next circle, like ESA actually, that are looking to rotate long.
Ooh, I mean, I kind of respect this, right? They were able to find a lot of eliminations throughout this, and it's kind of unique to see the way they've adapted to having Luda on the team. They are finding success. So I don't know the intel on how they brought Luda in, but I'm respectful of how they're playing. They're doing incredibly well. And speaking of well, charge rifle, Verholz, 2 words that are synonymous and go incredibly well together, and just nestling yourself onto a high ground. You are making these teams burn through all of their heals and ordinances before they can get to that end game.
Furia couldn't wait any longer. They're finding an opportunity to fully send it, and the shots off the wingman and the hipfire shots off the R301 hits Watson going for a quick reset, wondering if he has the opportunity to reload that wingman real quick, but he's got the high ground, he's got the positional advantage, and he's got the rest of Furia to rally right behind him.
I mean, Watson coming back for his debut here now in ALGS Split 1, throwing down so much damage before going down himself. Now E8 done and dusted from the lobby, going for the full-on reset of Furia. You've got people waiting in the distance, trying to crack a couple shots out at them, but it's not going to do anything. Furia is going to retreat to the rocks of where they came from and begin that full reset. But you've got to keep a line of sight on. You mentioned ESA going long, and Pander's getting punished for peeking too long.
Yeah, I think that's ESA all over by the other side, and TSM are also waiting on the outskirts, but they're in a bit of a difficult situation because they're out in the open with little to no cover. You can see that How, unfortunately, going down. They're hiding behind the Prowler nest to get How up. What a tough position for TSM to be in, but you have to say thank you to the likes of ESA and the other squad putting in pressure onto Furia, because now ESA have distracted Furia from pushing into TSM. They clean up Furia, and they go down in 18th place despite getting the KP from E8.
Yo, ESA's micro go hard. The fact that they're just taking these strong 3v3 fights and finding so much success, you would think that this team has been playing together for years, the way they are taking these micromanagement.
Seeing TSM now fighting on the other side of the field here. You can see TSM were able to reset with Imperial Howl, getting his shield right back up to healthy. 17 squads left, and TSM only have 2 KP to their name. Furia, yeah, they wiped out that last squad, but ESA wanted to immediately shift their focus onto TSM. We note, though, that there was another team on the other side of ESA. A lot of these squads have already taken up the buildings from within fish farms. So you see C9 situated inside one of these buildings already. I'm waiting to see where ESA is going to go, because if ESA is going to rotate to the back end, that's going to be a green light for TSM to try to wait out to see if that fight happens before they want a third party.
Look, if we are going to get a clean 3v3 fight, let it be that TSM versus ESA. Meanwhile, Verholst just being an absolute menace. That's going to be all they wrote for Optic Gaming. He was able to get a down onto Dupe through the window.
Oh, that was huge right there. The charge rifles are going crazy. The G7s as well from Reps, knocking out Luda. Sinus, please get escorted back to the lobby. And ESA, with the destruction of that black hole, TSM are looking to force their way to get some natural cover of the rocks to the right.
Yeah, I kind of like their movement right now. This is what we needed to see. Sure, there's still 15 teams left in this lobby, but TSM needs to make it out of this middle. And the fact that Atlanta Premier is still in the nearby vicinity as well, you can see they're getting some action onto ESA. So they're all kind of ready and waiting. So the question is, what is going to happen the moment that TSM starts poking and prodding to get into the next circle? Because there's only, I believe, 1 or 2 buildings left in the building, or the ring, that we're going to be pushing towards.
Yeah, it's difficult. A lot of these buildings have already been taken up. We saw how many squads already made their rotation into that circle after getting the beacon read off of Circle 1. And ESA, with only Capra alive, is fighting for his life. The poke pressure off the car. He's got the gold extended light mag, though, so he can go back and forth between both his weapons. Look at the tracking off of Capra. This young legend with his reaction time and tracking is impressive.
Impressive. It's like his finessing right there, trying to pop that shield battery while undergoing a lot of fire. But this is not a safe space for you. So many teams have their eyes on Capra, and they know ESA has found themselves near the top of the leaderboard. This would be a moment to shine and go ahead and send them back to the lobby early on. And I feel like TSM is just lying in wait, just trying to bide their time. They've already picked up 4 team kills here, so that's kind of a good start for them. They just need to double down and couple it with some placement points. We saw them get 2 wins and their first kind of showing here in the Pro League split. But now, can you double down and start now finding that action?
These charge rifles need to be stopped. They're creating chaos, and it's the reason why FaZe get knocked out of this lobby. They are out in 15th place. Unfortunately, they won't have the last chance opportunity to secure all those extra points from Stormpoint. ESA also eliminated as Capra goes down finally to the hands of Kill. That's still listening to TSM while they decide where they're going to land after the Skyward dive.
Shoot the seer! Shoot the seer! Cracked! Cracked!
Everyone look west! Just look west!
Seer crack! 70
Cracked here!
Right here! Right here!
Rock dead!
2 went down right there!
Someone ulted right in front of us! Someone ulted right in front of us!
It's a duo! It's a duo! It's a duo! It's a duo!
Can we kill the duo?
No, chill! Wait for Bengal! Wait for Bengal, please!
I'm gonna die to this Bengal. I'm batting.
It's a duo for sure, okay?
We're gonna have to.
Can we watch these guys? Can we watch these guys?
I'm 1 HP. I'm 1 HP. Look at me.
I'm stunned.
I'm coming in with you. I stuck one. I got stuck. I cracked the dude. Watson. Cracked the Watson.
Killing this guy.
They're shooting us.
Bro.
Oh, they're so low.
Like how?
Oh, no way that just happened. They wanted to send it on the duo, but they found themselves with Yanya to their back, blasting them with even more shots of a charge rifle. The split focus from TSM and the comms, you could hear them. They were trying to keep their cool. They were trying to fixate their attention in one direction. But unfortunately, they got too ahead of themselves when they decided to drop down on that Newcastle. That's the deployable barrier from the Newcastle, really helping out that team that ended up right in front of them.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. You've got Oxygen Esports on your screen. 1 shot left, or 2 shots left in that Kraber, trying to make something happen for them. Currently sitting in 13th place, going to garner a lot of placement points for the team themselves. You've only got a handful of teams left in the lobby. We're down to 6 squads, and they are looking directly at a trio, potentially tripods, because they do have that Watson kind of set up towards them. And Atlanta Premier working the roof of this building. They are a full 3 stack, still relatively healthy, have have Phoenix kits, bats available to them, so that's the prioritization that they need to have. I don't see any ordnance available to them, which can kind of not be the best situation. We saw in EMEA how great it was to have a plethora of thermites and arc stars available to them, but Oxygen Esports utilizing that trident to try and make a play behind this team.
Is this the right move? You only got a trident and a dream right here, and you're pulling up right behind tripods. Did they just grieve tripods into all of this? Because tripods was fixated on Luminosity Gaming right in front of them. Now Oxygen Esports put them in a sandwiching situation, put themselves in a way better spot on the outskirts of where the circle is going to be pulling. They're not even in that circle where they have to worry about the squads that are rotating outside the building, accidentally gets into the trident while trying to access the black market, and Oxygen are literally on their own island in the middle of the water.
Luminosity trying to keep it alive here under the building. Bangalore smokes and just eating 100 Thieves alive. Now Yanya, your new kill leaders, they have turned their sights onto Oxygen Esports. This is just an absolute chaotic mess. Casello's just throwing down as much of the damage as they can through the smokes. Perfectful, finding some success, and Oxygen Esports is your map 3 champion.
Oxygen Esports, they took it around town literally with a trident to be on their own island, and they capitalized so amazingly off of that final fight where they fully sent it on not only griefing tripods, but Luminosity too.
Yeah, name a more impactful trident in the history of ALGS, I dare you. Gosh, that trident single-handedly allowed them to clean up tripods, pick up 3 KP, and get a first-place finish. Oxygen does it with a massive showing from Casellos and the squad. Kudos to them. They take first place. But right behind them, Tiff, once again, is LG. 2 back-to-back second-place finishes, and I believe another high-kill game from LG. They continue to roll for Mexico and Latin America.
Hey, they're doing what they need to do, and it's about time. It's about time that we see some Luminosity dominating, and I'm really enjoying the moments that they are having as a team. You mentioned it earlier. They brought on Jaguars, and he is just proving to be such an asset to the team. With Yanya's Gunny and the play they were playing and navigating throughout these rotations, it's just, I don't know, textbook.
It is indeed a solid showing from Jaguars, the rookie in this team, but not a rookie in ALGS. He's been playing for Legacy MX for quite some time and competing in a few ALGS kind of Pro League or online tournament competitions for a while in his former squad, and now gets picked up by the best team in Mexico. Well, that's Luminosity Gaming, looking like they're the best team in this entire lobby right now. They'll be in first place in the standings for sure, but I'm interested to see what that's going to do for everyone else. You know, TSM picked up a few kill points, and I got to ask you guys to talk to you about that tragic situation for TSM. They find a 3v2 that they think is favorable, but the damage from the third party across the way ended up being too much for them, Vicky.
Yeah, that was Luminosity, I believe. We saw Yanya, you know, just melting down a lot of the individual members that were left on that side of the circle with a charge rifle. But I have to highlight the comms from TSM, the politeness. You even heard the please, can we just do this instead? That was something that I definitely pinpointed. I have to highlight it because it goes a long way. It's character development, and it's also a nice arc for TSM to look at their growth whenever they've been able to kind of figure out what they need to iron out as a team.
Perhaps Hal's been going to therapy. You know, it's a great situation for TSM. No, just jokes aside, kudos to TSM in a high kill game, I believe, for them. Let's take a look at the highlights overall, though, from game number 3. Our last game on Storm Point. Tiff, Vicky, walk us through it.
Yeah, the highlights here were incredible, though. Even from the very beginning, it was high-octane action over in Fish Farms. We made note that Luminosity lands here, so they were able to secure a building very early on. First attempt, were not as lucky. With that comp, they really wanted to be able to secure themselves in these buildings. And the longbow, charge rifle, sentinel shots were literally out here in this final circle. Between Verholz having it in his hands on the hillside, you saw Yanya doing the same thing inside of the building. Furia with the wingman, his Watson, clutching out an amazing fight here versus E8 before they got third party themselves against a team like ESA, who was having a very heavy fragging game.
I think this is just one of those moments where it's like Storm Point, the POIs are so distanced away from each other that you're just going to have all the mid-range and sniper support that you possibly need. And I think if one person's going to be charge rifling, someone else is going to be doing it as well. And then ESA electing to run multiple G7 scouts to find a lot of success. We saw Capra just kind of being stuck as the sole man standing on ESA underneath, being griefed by so many teams. Season, 100 Thieves, a lot of teams, so much action down in Fish Farms, and these are some of my favorite zones, Vicky.
Yeah, it's always great to see a lot of these open angles available for these teams to capitalize off of, but this is that heartfelt moment. The duo that landed right in next to TSM, they couldn't get anything started. The Newcastle being too strong in a position like that where their backs are safe, but the same cannot be said about TSM, who got shot from behind.
Yeah, it goes to prove that Newcastle Ultimate is so incredibly strong. You might be a team of 2, but you have the fortifications in the defense to make it to late game here. 100 Thieves was able to take that duo ship all the way to top 3. Really, really solid job from them, doing a lot of damage here in this late game, but LG ends up clutching up those 3 kills before getting cleaned up by the likes of Oxygen Supremacy. Really good job from Oxygen Esports. A strong showing from the East Coast Boston crew. Like, guess what they do at 19 points for them and a first place finish, but right behind them, Luminosity, another high-octane game, 18 points, back-to-back second-place finishes. 100 Thieves and Atlanta Premier equally with solid games at 12, and the Tripods show some solid performance as well with another 7-point game. It's not enough for Tripods, though. They've gotten 5, they've gotten 7. They need a pop-off game. Same thing with Cloud9, Space Station, TSM, and others. What you don't see on this front page is Optic, Furia, FaZe, some big names again not able to make it to late game here. Sentinels continues to play disappointing to their standards as well. So the big question is, again, same thing. It's almost deja vu for FaZe. Will they be able to perform on World's Edge, Tiff? As we take a look at the overall standings, walk us through it.
Hey, Mac tweeted out, we want to prove that that second was not a fluke, but right now it's looking a little worse for wear. But the match series results and standings thus far, Luminosity have found themselves up at the top with 54 points, and they're just proving consistency is key. We always harp on it in these 6-map series that you have to reign consistent, and they are doing what they do. And look at the drop-off. Season,
yeah,
43 points, ESA 37, and everyone finding themselves with 19 or 18 points. It's going to take another pop-off game for someone to really shake this up. We're just waiting.
Yep. World's Edge will certainly be interesting because right now you're spot on. Those top 3 teams, so top heavy. Let's take a look at the overall kill leaderboards, though. Not a surprise, but LG and Mexico on top. 3 out of the top 4 teams are from one team. All 5 of the top 5 players are from 2 separate teams. It's ESA and it's LG. They continue to dominate with Klain and Kenny right behind them. Kudos to Yanya, though. Absolutely frying right now is Yanya, Vicky.
Yeah, it's actually crazy to see Luminosity taking up literally a majority of that overall kill leader leaderboard. I mean, the top 4 spots going in favor for Luminosity. You love to see that from our full Mexican squad coming out and dominating the lobby today. I love Luminosity Gaming. I got to talk to them a little bit in the Rewired Fest, and they were highlighting how excited they were for the Pro League, and you could tell exactly why.
Yeah, Vicky, they've obviously been playing so well as a team of 3. Big controversial roster change, picking up Jaguars in spite of Enemigos' early year 1 performance. Walk me through what worked so well in some of the highlighted moments here for Luminosity in games 1 through 3.
First off, we gotta look at their team composition. They're running the Bloodhound, the Valkyrie, and the Bangalore. Shiv highlighted this team comp, highlighting and complimenting that this team is popping off, and what's extra nice is to see how the Bangalore works out amazingly still on Storm Point. Shout out to all the Bangalore mains still at home, still rocking bang, and putting in the pressure out here, because it's always so nice to see a change up of team compositions. Just enough of the Seer, enough of the Horizon. We see the Bangalore, we see the Bloodhound. No bias, of course, as I am in Bloodhound's hideout, but you know, it's always nice to see that we have a nice change up of composition that really excels for teams like Luminosity.
Yeah, I agree. It gives you the versatility. You can play Edge and fight with Bangalore and a Bloodhound, or you can also rotate with Valkyrie and play early game and get positioning, which is great. On the flip side, yes, Luminosity's playing great. Another team that really surprised, it was Season. Back-to-back wins in game 1 and 2. Tiff, talk me through what's working so well for Season.
Look, I just think this roster needs some time to shine. You've got kind of Kenny and Klain, the previous core of that XSET Pro League team. Hack had joined XSET right before that they had been released, and now they've rebranded themselves under Season, and they are just finding so much success. Obviously, the chemistry is there, and their micro fighting is impeccable. So they are doing what they need to do. I think it was only a matter of time before they found the success that they're getting.
Yeah, could not agree more. You broke that down perfectly. Free agent team, by the way, looking for an org to represent now that they no longer have XSET, which I've heard XSET's been shopping around too. We'll see if XSET makes a re-entry into Apex. Well, hey, you might want to go back to where you came from with this same roster. They've won an ALGS Pro League day before. They won in year 1, and they're looking to do it again today. Really, really solid start for the Season squad overall. But the thing is, top 3, very top 3 heavy. It's Esports Arena, it's Season, and it's Luminosity. Can they keep up that consistency on World's Edge? And here we are again. I mentioned earlier, kind of like deja vu. Going to World's Edge, you have to perform and you have to do it big. Season won the first 2 games. Oxygen won the third and made themselves kind of relevant in the overall standings. But really, it's a 3-horse race at this point, unless a team like maybe Oxygen, maybe TSM, Furia, Optic, Space Station, who knows, can step up here on these last 3 games. If there's anyone that's going to do it, though, Vicky, who do you think it's going to be? Do you have any predictions?
I think that Furia is going to make a comeback because they desperately need it, because they've been on the bottom half. I mean, I'm not even the bottom half. I'm going to say how it is. The bottom 3 parts of the overall leaderboard for the last 2 days that they've shown up. Yeah, his Watson is back into the roster, but that really hasn't made much of a difference as of right now, because they're still placing the same after those first 3 maps on Stormpoint.
Oh, Vicky's got a big circle on Furia. Tiff, I'm going to throw it to you and both of y'all at the cast match 4. I want your answer to that question as well. But for now, ladies and gentlemen in the chat, let us know who you think is going to pop off in games 4 through 6. Will FaZe have a dominant World's Edge performance again, or will we see our top 3 teams continue to roll? It's match 4. Switching on over to World's Edge. Vicky, Tiff, take it away.
Hey, thank you so much, Paulo. And Tip, yeah, I want to find out, what kind of team are you aiming for right now that's on the second half of the overall leaderboards that you aren't expecting? I mean, I'm surprised to see Optic Gaming over there. FaZe, of course, like you highlighted before. And, of course, dead last before that final game was Sentinels.
Look, I was trying to dodge the question. I was like, oh, we got map number 4. Let's talk about moving on over to World's Edge. We talked about it. I kind of have this ability to curse teams. I don't want to keep saying it because I'm hoping that I can, like, get it out, right? Maybe one day, maybe I just need to turn to Catalyst, maybe get a good reading in my cards to see what is happening. But there are some moments that I would like to see. If FaZe does kind of start to get some momentum making this way into World's Edge, then it's just a matter of sitting down with Chrono and saying, hey, what are we going to do to make sure our storm point is on deck? But speaking of action, Sentinels jumping right in, Beat go crazy, Lou trying to make something happen, making that move over from Revenant to Gibby. And I was really hoping to see some success, but just fighting for their life in this contest against Tripods.
And this was the 50-50 that you were talking about before. All right, Jen. All right, it's about making a statement. A tactical crouching. Okay, I like the sportsmanship. Okay, it's okay, Jen. No one's gonna hurt you anymore. I promise. It's just a death box. But Tripods coming out on top. This is a 50-50 that Tiff, you were highlighting, we may actually see going into World's Edge. And it persisted, which is probably why Jen is trying to let Sentinels know, hey, you know, you're on the other side of the overall leaderboards, right? You're probably at the bottom at the moment. You're gonna stay there if you keep contesting us.
I think that's a moment where we may see kind of what happened with G2 and Furia when G2 was contesting at Barometer with BR Demons, made the call, hey, let's go ahead. Furia's playing with a sub in match day number 1. Let's check them out at Lightning Rod. It didn't really go as planned, so they elected to go somewhere else the next game. I think this is one of those things, Sentinels, you're not really finding some success, and after that moment there, you either need to come back with vengeance or you're gonna have to try a different POI. But Sign Us Please looks to have won their contest as well over here at Tree and reaping the rewards, because now you've got Tempest as your kill leader for the lobby thus far.
Yeah, like I said before, Sentinels going down at that moment still puts them in dead last, so they can't afford to lose out on any more of those 50-50s if they even want to risk it. But that's unfortunately the circumstance when it comes to having the ability to come out on top and claim your own POI when you fight for it. We saw it time and time again with Sentinels and having to deal with trying to fight for Mill versus Optic Gaming back in last split, or rather last season, with ALGS, and it looks like it's persisting now, but this time with Tripods. As we take a look at Luminosity, one of our more consistent teams, leading the way for the overall group standings. They're looking to continue on the pressure as we look at some of these other squads, making their quick rotation to the northern side of World's Edge. Looking like we may have a climatizer circle on our hands here, Tiff.
I know I was asking for one earlier today when we were working on the EMEA broadcast. I was like, can we please get a north zone? Because I feel like everything kind of always pulls towards the south side in World's Edge, and Atlanta Premier electing to continue on their journey out towards Climatizer Hill only with that purple shield. So Crook and Enemy are not really sitting in the best. They're utilizing the jump tower, now electing to take that skyward dive. You got to really go ahead and prioritize your resources and maybe garner some good positioning. You know that Season is nearby vicinity, kind of firing away with that wingman, and look.
so quick from Overlook. They didn't waste a single time now, and they're looking to take care of C9, another squad that's been struggling a bit. And with a quick finish off of that, we're seeing Tripods playing extremely different versus what they've been rocking whenever Nick Mercs has been on the Watson. You can see the confidence with Nick Mercs playing on the Seer this time around. You can see how they've been taking these quick fights, and they need to because they need to secure this KP as we take a look at TSM, who are looking to send a fight over to the squad that lands over by Tree.
Okay, Verholst, we see you. Look at that. That's a knock on to Sing Dez, so you know that Sign Us Please is in that enemy team that's kind of in their distance, and beautiful shots coming out of Verholst. A little bit different. We see you put down the charge rifle and pick up that wingman, but this is going to be an interesting push because you know that team is on the top of this kind of area, which is kind of one of those tough moments. You never want to push into the tunnels because you can find yourself get third-partied really quick, but Verholst finding some finishes there, and you've got some other teams looking to be in the nearby vicinity.
I believe ESA does land around the southern point of the map here too, so they could be looking to see if they can get involved with a third party, but with the circle closing in behind TSM, this is an amazing call from them. They're just going to back up. They're going to have a skyward dive in case they need to actually rotate quick, and it is ESA actually making the rotation from the thermal station side. So ESA with amazing loot, by the way, and some KP to their name, looking to contain and take any of the stragglers from Sign Us Please.
Yeah, it's so funny. Every time I see these gold shields, I want to kind of highlight something that I did see from a previous team on the match day number 2. It was, I believe, Slurp that had a gold shield from FaZe, and they actually shared the gold shield while they were rotating in from the outskirts of the ring. When you kind of send, let's say Phony gives Luda that gold shield, he can use a syringe to heal, but meanwhile, they're going to find Sign Us Please, the last man standing, and James Fearless, and they're just sending him right back to the lobby, making some light work of the cleanup as they've found that last player. But that's just something that I've noticed. It's managing your resources, right? If you can utilize syringes, which are more easily found than maybe some med kits here on the map, you can kind of share that. Like Luda popping a syringe right now, had Phony given him that gold shield, it would go so much further.
Yeah, it looks like they're just trying to prioritize their rotation instead, just trying to be as quick as possible. But you're absolutely right. Just rotating through that loot will definitely help out ESA, especially when they're getting overly aggressive like this outside the circle. We do note that Capra probably does have that skyward dive already at this point, so they probably could already go in for a quick rotate utilizing that Valkyrie as well. So while they are just going to help reset, they're making their next move to figure out where they want to approach this next circle, because while they did take their time with this fight to clean up Sign Us Please, they have allowed TSM to also get ahead of them in terms of the circle positioning that could be awaiting them on the outskirts of the ring.
Yeah, no, look at this. We're going to cut on board to Luminosity, and they've got a black hole in wait. Measles already down. Yanya and Jaguars trying to put out a lot of damage on the team inside. I believe that's going to be BR Demons. But with Measles down, using the grav lift to block the door and control the space, I really respect that.
Oh. 2 members down from Luminosity off the rip right there too. Luminosity in a lot of trouble as Furia are looking for a redemption shot here. They're playing around the dome. You can see the hipfire shot from Zera, and they do clean up FaZe. It doesn't look like FaZe is going to be having a great first game on World's Edge.
Oh, I know Fallout was kind of probably sitting there like we were wanting to have them find success on World's Edge after a not so stellar performance on Stormpoint, but Furia had some other thoughts in mind, and they win that 3v3. Now they get to reap the rewards of all the loot that FaZe had found, and just look at all the heals, just throwing them out. Panders is like, medkit for you, medkit for you, you want some syringes? I got you guys, we've got plenty. Zera gonna hit that ultimate accelerant to make sure you can get that black hole ult and ready and willing for that next fight as they continue their journey on towards Climatizer.
Yeah, this is a really good spot for Fury to be in too. Even if they want to stay put in this building, they're taking a 50-50 chance from the high ground to see where the circle could be pulling, because there's a chance that this circle could pull towards the train tracks or towards that southern building that's towards the east side of Climatizer. That lone building where I've seen final circles pull towards on the outskirts of Climatizer, because there's a chance that it doesn't necessarily land on Climatizer, and Furia could take that opportunity to actually out-rotate the squads that have decided to fully commit into the buildings of Climatizer, like E8, Space Station, Oxygen, 100 Thieves, and the Guard. So if they got ahead of the curve, that's a lot of squads that they could funnel into their line of sight.
Speaking of line of sight, Optic Gaming just kind of perched up here in like a little nest in the tower, looking at the distance. You can see the teams that are utilizing those skyward dives and making their moves into Climatizer, but I don't see any teams kind of in the nearby vicinity. So Optic Gaming taking this time, crafting up, making sure they're getting resources. You can see Noct utilizing this for his shield, making sure they're all fully purpled out to go into that end game. We really haven't been seeing a lot of good performance out of Optic, which is so interesting to say because they were so dominating throughout the LAN performances that I got to witness. I was in person there at Raleigh when they were crying out. So now let's see what they can do here as they jump on over to World's Edge. But another team that we want to see find success, Tripods.
Yeah, you know, not just that too on LAN, looking at the game, but they also have success in other Apex Legends tournaments as of recent, specifically the Code Red tournament that they ended up coming on top of. So wondering where this inconsistency is coming from with Optic Gaming. It could be maybe some of the teams that have just been grieving their rotation. They don't feel comfortable, so they're taking a much slower approach, as they should, looking at where they're sitting in the overall standings after those first 3 games. Tripods, though, are set up in the building that I was actually noting originally, where the circle could inevitably pull towards in Climatizer. It could be on the outskirts to the left side of Climatizer, and looks like Tripod's got all the meds to work with too, so they're not even worried one bit when it comes to adding in the pressure for the other squads that are going to rotate out of that building.
Well, they don't have to be worried about some Tridents either here now that we're on World's Edge. No Oxygen pulling up some Fast and the Furious style to really reposition behind them. So as long as you clear out and hold that ring to your back, no one's going to be able to flank you.
That would definitely give me PTSD. Oxygen Esports with an actual game-changing Trident that I probably have ever seen. That was insane. But they don't have to worry about that this time around. Instead, they just gotta look to the skies. It's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's the 4th skyward dive that's probably gonna be coming in through your heads. And happens a lot here in these type of circles. With the other squads, though, like TSM and Optic Gaming playing on the outskirts of the circle, you could tell what their game plan is. And with their composition, it works nice. Obviously, they are running the true Horizon, Seer, and Valkyrie comp, but you could see the way that they're playing way more laid back, more kind of patiently. Their goal is so that way they could play for positioning and for the placement points rather than just fragging out and trying to get a lot of this KP as a third party.
Yeah, kind of interesting. We're just jumping POVs. We saw Optic Gaming kind of craft up their shields. They're going to take to the sky. We just came from TSM crafting up their shields as well. But something to note is a lot of these replicators have been moved to where they used to kind of be within some sort of cover, but they're placed just outside of POIs. So you're forced to kind of keep an eye out because you can easily get kind of knocked. You have a lot of these teams that do these shoots where they'll go 3, 2, 1 and team shot you. But let's see if Optic Gaming has some success here.
Yeah, we're going to take a look and get a listen in for Optic Gaming to see what they're going to do after this rotation from the skyward dive.
Can we get some scans on the donuts?
I'm scanning donuts right now.
Like
two on the right. I only saw 2 heartbeats.
There was a team at the top of the snake that saw us do this.
Oh, okay, they're in both donuts.
They're 2 teams in both donuts. I'm trying to heartbeat to see if there's a duo. Yeah, there's 3 men in this one. I'm gonna scan right donut.
This is SSG up here. Or should be.
There's 3 in each donut. 3 in each donut. They're playing this rock right here.
5% off my ult again. Okay, someone should take gold helmet from me.
Give it to Dupe.
Optic Gaming, very limited comps. They do pinpoint where some of the squads are sitting in and who managed to see where they wanted to land from the skyward dive, but it's just mental notes for Optic Gaming while we tune into TSM in a fight. They have the high ground advantage, and with the fight already over by Epi, they're playing on the outskirts of the circle, which could be risky and prone to allowing some of these third parties to get whiff of what's happening here, but a nice position nonetheless for TSM to be on this high ground.
Yeah, I kind of like this positioning. Once you start to dive into the low ground of Epicenter, it's kind of asking for a lot of targets on your back. So I kind of respect TSM for making sure that they are not going into that. Yes, you're getting a lot of information. It seems like they know someone is looming within that area and that POI and the tower. But the question is, when is that team going to make their way out? So because they want to catch them on that rotation. Meanwhile, Season going to find themselves back into the lobby with Atlanta Premier kind of being the thorn in their side here today.
Yeah, 100 Thieves also, I don't know if this is Apex Legends or if we're playing Microsoft Paint out here with the Watson fences, but he is truly painting a scene for us to see right now. The crypto drones, man, wouldn't it be a shame, Tiff, if all of this hard work just disappeared from an EMP? Oof, truly would be a shame. Definitely doable, which is why we were seeing so much crypto in the lobbies to counteract these fences or any caustic barrels, as we get to take a look at the guard who are situated inside of this building with the fences themselves, but it's RKN that has the crypto drone that can fight them off.
I feel like I'm back into like high school geometry with all these Watson fence shapes, but I mean, you've got to commend it to them. They are pulling off some beautiful exhibitions with the Watson fences. But you mentioned the crypto, right? That's going to be RKN from the guard that has the one. That's going to be Hill on Atlanta Premier, and they're all up in the lobby. Coming on over to TSM, they have some really gnarly things happening to them. Hal is going to fall, putting them into a precarious situation.
See what Furia is going to do with the high ground in their favor, but a squad's right to their 6. It's going to be Furia holding onto the high ground. ESA rotating from the south side maybe here, as TSM are also on the low ground. So many squads within the southern side of the circle still. These heavy hitters, Furia, TSM, and ESA that want to continue on their domination as first attempt get wiped out by TSM. TSM actually were able to fully take control over that building, which is amazing news here for TSM, as they're stuck now between Furia and ESA. They needed that building to actually have their back to some safety.
ESA taken to the sky, looking to find themselves a nice position here towards the end game, but absolutely getting tagged up. Capra is just trying to finesse in the air right now. Spam those skydive emotes, because this is what you need to do, as you have every eye on you in this lobby. 12 squads remaining here on World's Edge, and you have nestled yourself here onto the sides. But the question is, we know that there's ESA. We know all the teams that are kind of in that area of the map, and Furia looking to find some KP here.
Yeah, that was where tripods were sitting in for a really long time on that other side of Climatizer. So now with that free spot available for ESA to capitalize, they're going to reset. They're probably neighboring that of tripods, and Furia are going to be playing the side of the circle while they figure out a way to inch their way into this next circle, because TSM's to their right, Optic Gaming's right in between themselves and tripods, and Furia are looking at the squads that still need to funnel themselves outside of the buildings of Climatizer. That building alone has 4 to 5 different squads. You got E8, 100 Thieves, Guard, Space Station, Atlanta Premier. It is actually chaotic to look at where this next circle is going to be pulling, and all the teams that are going to be forced to get into the line of sight of the likes of Furia, Optic Gaming, Tripods, and TSM.
Ooh, Furia just trying to arc it back. The Arc Star goes out, and now the aggression comes in. Panders gets tore up. His Watson going to fall, as well as TSM is looking to answer back between the hands of Reps, finding some success, but they are going to come out on top. Panders clutches for Furia, but they have to wait for the third party right now. I don't believe they're going to be able to get the reset.
If they could get this reset, that would be absolutely huge, but I believe it's Optic Gaming that just came out from a fight themselves. They may be going into third party. They want to capitalize, and it is Optic Gaming. They want to fully send it out to Furia. They just needed to take out 2, and they do so. Optic Gaming now, with all the free loot in the world, after we just saw Furia taking care of TSM and Optic Gaming following up with a domino effect.
Wow, we were asking ourselves where Optic Gaming was, and we found them. Optic with an impeccably timed third party, and now we see Tripods right here on your screen, still alive, finding themselves here with the 10 squads remaining.
They have not left from this spot, and they had their eyes kept onto ESA, who landed right next to them. Nick Burke's falling incredibly low, though, isn't able to reset fully like he wanted to. Esports Arena get cleaned up at the hands of Gent and his PK. ESA out of this lobby, 9 squads left, and that squad that's still taking up that inside of that truck have not left there the entire time. I believe that may be Atlanta Premier, who rotated there when they were pressured on the outskirts of Climatizer. Oh, the grenade! Oh, Deeds is falling so low. He managed to pull up the shield bat. Is it going to be enough with Optic Gaming now in a fight on the outskirts of this fence line, Tiv?
Optic just throwing down. They needed to step up, and they are doing everything that they needed to do. Skittle Cakes, Arc Star in hand, trying to make something happen. And Space Station holding the roof of this building. Frex is building out those fences to really honor this area. They want to say this is the moment to make happen.
Space Station with the high ground, though, going in favor to them and their positioning here. You could see Frex with the perimeter set up all around the top of this roof, but it's Optic Gaming on the other side of that fence line. They're not going to be moving from that spot. Atlanta Premier getting pinged down by Space Station. They literally have rain over Optic, over Tripods, over Atlanta Premier, but they have to also fixate their attention on the action happening right below their feet.
Hey, the guard looking to find themselves a really great lobby here because you know they want to answer back. They already found themselves first play on their match showing, but Optic Gaming trying to stay alive. Skittlecakes, I've seen some amazing things come out of him, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to have the numbers advantage here as Tripods sends it in for Optic Gaming, but they're going to fall as well because Oxygen Esports is just getting the cheekiest of angles while nestled in the nearby building.
On a silver platter in the hands of Oxygen Esports. I mean, Loba deserves it all, but now you get to call it out, and it's that extra KP, breaking up that shield with the charge rifle. We got the Volt in the hands of Frex as well. This really shows you how this positioning here on top of this building is going to really allow the likes of Space Station to continue on their domination. Look at that Thermite burning through the shields of Atlanta Premier, getting the knock onto Crook, but they can't give up this ground. Yes, it looks tasty to try to make sure you secure that KP, but Space Station just needs to stay put.
Atlanta Premier going to fall to the hands of Space Station. It's only a matter of time because they are just wreaking havoc from above, finally dropping down, looking to put the finishing touches onto the Loba in front of them. This is going to be on Oxygen Esports, and they are just doing so much damage. Oxygen Esports now eliminated from the lobby. 4 squads remaining, and Dropped isn't stopping there.
No, 100 Thieves, though, losing out on backs on BR Demons on the other side versus Space Station Guard. Now, with Space Station making their way, they had the God spot, basically, for this final game, and Guard get eliminated at their hands. They took 2 of these fights, and now they're playing out of the health disadvantage. BR Demons looking to fully set it and take game number 4.
This is the day of all of the teams from the preseason qualifiers to find their success. In a lobby full of so many decorated teams, look at the ones that are coming out on top. It's BR Demons today. This is absolutely insane.
They needed that there too. BR Demons coming through. It's crazy. Game 3, we saw Oxygen Esports pop off. They also were able to secure some KP inside of the building over in Climatizer. Space Station were in one of the best positions, but they took every fight once they dropped down from the high ground because they wanted to make sure that they could get the additional KP. Fallout, what are your thoughts after that first game on World's Edge? Because BR Demons are on top.
Absolutely. That's the talent we know that this roster has. We highlighted them a bunch in the pre-show. Didn't see a whole lot of them in Storm Point outside of maybe a top 7 finish here and there. But here we are on World's Edge, game number 1. A strong performance from the BR Demons that we knew they were capable of. Tiff, obviously this squad is made up of really kind of championship DNA. Quite literally. They have Vade on this team who has won the year 2 ALGS championship with 100 Thieves, plus 2 dominant kind of up-and-coming players. Aiden, who played in Pro League last year with the Moaners, had a ton of experience. Joined with Reeds, both a Canadian duo that's been playing incredibly well. They have the makeup for a team that could be great. They just need the reps.
Yeah, reps indeed. And I love that you bring that up because I know I kind of talked about Shiv having a tournament midweek for EU, but it was also for NA qualifiers as well. And guess who found success on the NA qualifiers? It's going to be BR Demons. They came out on top. So we saw Scars and EMEA finding the momentum, pushing them forward. Maybe it's just a moment of where Shiv is just out there giving teams the momentum they need to bring the success to Pro League.
That's right. It's good to see the more reps teams like this get through events like Shiv's event. We saw the MFAM Gauntlet $50,000 Nick Merckx tournament, the Boom TV event this week. It's been quite the week of Apex Legends, and that means reps upon reps upon reps for teams like BR Demons that need the experience in these highly sweaty and high octane lobbies. Let's take a look at the overall highlights though when we have them from game number 4 on World's Edge. Vicky and Tiff, take it away. Walk us through some of the big moments here.
Absolutely, Follow. We had a lot of individual fighting on each end, whether it be earlier on in the game or even on the opposite side of the map between TSM trying to capitalize off of a third-party opportunity over by Tree, ESA kind of cleaning up on aisle 3 right behind them. We saw some early fighting going down in this lobby, but we had 14 squads still up alive by ring number 3.
Jumping on over Luminosity. Vicky, this is what you want to see. They were finding a lot of success too, garnering some early KP, but Furia kind of able to come in and just destroy FaZe in that 3v3, and the guard consistently making it towards those end game. But it's a lot of these teams that we may have not thought to find success that are finding their way towards the top, and this was that sad moment. Furia going in and cleaning up TSM with Optic Gaming ready and waiting to just clean house right there.
Yeah, Optic said, I bet you guys missed us real quick. On the timing on that third party was impeccable. Tripods as well. Jet coming out on top with those PK shots, cleaning up that team that was sharing that building right to their right, or rather that land to their right. E8 as well, playing with the fuse. Nice to know. We didn't see E8 too much, but playing on the outskirts of this fence line was doomed for a lot of these teams because you got Space Station on the high ground, cleaning up shop as easy as 1, 2, 3.
In this late game, it was Atlanta Premier with a chance, but got focused by SSG, then ultimately got aped right after by the BR Demons, who somehow, despite SSG having high ground here, they're going to drop from high ground, decide to push low for these kills, and as a result, look at all the damage that Denial takes. BR Demons able to capitalize and come through with the third party to close this one out. And let's take a look at the overall results for match 4. Sorry, Tripods with 7 kills, all the way down in 7th place. Well, it was BR Demons with 11 and a first place finish, a 23-point game for them. Space Station and the Guard both showing some solid life as well. A common game for the Guard, Tef, where we have them with 3 kills. Sorry, in 3rd place with 3 kills. Not a high kill game, but they are going to get the placement points that they need.
I mean, if you're still coming in and getting double-digit points, I feel like that's the consistency threshold that you need to make a play for the top of the leaderboard. You already know that in the current Pro League standings for the Split 1, they are finding a lot of success. They had 25 points from match day number 1, so they're just looking to kind of build upon that early success. But these are still the names that we wouldn't expect to see in the lower half of the lobby. Sentinels, you just brought on Tech, not able to really find the success that they're wanting, and I think that just takes some time to really flesh out different strategies and make some things work. But I'm looking at you, Cloud9, FaZe, Furia, Luminosity going out early as well.
Yeah, honestly, before that last game follow, before you take up that point, FaZe has not placed any better than 14th, and they've been lacking on KP before that last game. So a lot of these teams on the other end of this overall leaderboard is squads that are just really struggling on finding their footing or any sort of momentum whatsoever.
There it is, in 19th and 20th place. Not often we start with the bottom 2, but here, with them being FaZe and Sentinels, you got to call it out there at the bottom right of your screen. Meanwhile, Luminosity stays on top. BR Demons gets in the running and in contention. We wondered, will there be any other teams that can enter this race, or is it going to continue to be a 3-horse race? Well, this certainly answers your question. BR Demons and Space Station slowly but surely inching into that top 3. It is certainly anyone's series here at this point going into game number 5, Tiff.
Yeah, and I think they're doing exactly what they needed. When we first saw after matches 1 and number 2, they kind of were just really separating themselves from outside of top 3. But you mentioned it, all of these teams are just crawling their way back, and I love exactly what they're doing.
That's right. Wait, we're going to take a very quick break. We need time to rest a little bit as we get ready for what is going to be a crazy finish. These last 2 games will be epic. Don't go anywhere when we come back. Game number 5 right after this.
Apex Legends Global Series Monster Energy, your official energy drink for the ALGS.
welcome
4
back,
games
everyone.
in. What's up? Vicky was ready to take that.
I was ready. I thought
I'm
we
with
were
it.
going to a two-box real quick. Okay.
I will hand my host role over to you, girl. You're the most talented person I've worked with. I'm okay with that. Shout out to Vicky, thinking they were come back to a 2-box there. But now I'm still here to give you all one more throw before you all get ready for game number 5. And I was going to say, welcome back, everybody. We're 4 games in and 3 teams you didn't necessarily expect to be on top. It's LG, who maybe you could have thought would be there, but then it's Season and Esports Arena currently within the top 3. Match number 5 is here. Last 2 games on World's Edge in Space Station, The Guard, and a few others, BR Demons included, enter the chat as we get ready for game number 5, an opportunity for them to sneak into the top 3. Can they do it? We'll find out. Tiff, Vicky, take it away.
Thank you, Paula. I was excited. You know, after coming out from EMEA, I was expecting a different bit of a pace, but it's fine. We're jumping into game number 5, my favorite game of our series, because this is the point in time where a lot of these squads, especially the squads sitting on the second half of the overall leaderboards, have to figure out what they gotta do. We're gonna see the 50-50 again. Are you kidding me? Tripods last time, and it looks like they're already winning the fight in the 50-50 versus Sentinels again.
I mean, this is going to be one of those moments where you're going to have to question everything. Senox, last person standing. Last time it was Lou. Now it's Senox. Tripod's just getting their reps and finding themselves within the top 10 here and feeling confident after winning these 50-50s. Now they're just looking, hey, where did Senox go? And with Nick Merckx on the Seer, you know they are going to track this man down.
Absolutely. Tripods are going to take that free KP too. You know, if Sentinels want to escort themselves right back to the lobby just as quick as we entered this game, then by all means for Tripods, they can take on any KP that they need as necessary, because it's one of those teams that are still trying to get themselves right back into the overall top 10. They find Lou at the same time as we take a look real quick at the map, the overall map, to see where our squads are going to be landing, where the circle is going to be pulling. And it is another northern circle. Are you kidding me? Climatizer again? C9 are eating good here because they have no excuse. They got the beacon, so they got the information, and they got the positioning if they play for it.
I mean, could you ask for anything more? I mean, we usually always have Southern Zones and World's Edge. We're not going to get the Skyhook ending that I was asking for during that EMEA broadcast, but this is another contest that we had over in the tree. It's going to be Sign Us, Please. They're still alive. They went out a little bit early on after this 50-50, but Slepton had lost this contest. But so far, both teams up and at 'em, a true 3v3 fashion, and I'm really curious to see how this is going to work, because Psycho right now with that Sentinel in hand, not really the gun of choice that you want for a close range 3v3.
And this is the part here too where we saw Tree also earlier on contested by TSM, by ESA, that wanted to show face in that third party. Sign Us Please, though, taking some shots by a different squad over to the side, are looking to start making their rotate here. I know by launch site, LG like to land there, so leaving where that beacon's gonna be, they could get with this fight happening over by Tree. A Space Station are also getting some shots taken at them. They had an amazing position in that last game. I'm wondering if they could replicate the same, as they have to traverse through a lot of ground on World's Edge to get to the top of Climatizer.
Yeah, Space Station currently sitting in 5th place overall for the day, looking pretty solid. But Furia, a lot of things to kind of look for out of them. We have his Watson finally returning, and they're finally starting to win some of those moments. The issue is the timing. They had that solid fight against TSM and then got immediately third-partied by Optic Gaming in map number 4. So over here at Landslide, I'm looking to see, hey, maybe we can put 2 and 2 together. They had such a strong showing at ALGS Champs. I know they have it in them. We know Watson is a true grinder, streams maybe 15 to 18 hours a day on that rank grind.
Ooh.
Sending out some damage, able to grab a knock onto Bronzy, but gets tagged up himself.
I was gonna say, you played that much out here, you gotta land those wingman shots, and he absolutely did. He delivered, and he hits Bronzy up in the head, as EA also in the feed, lighting it up, taking down reads. Fury are looking to fully extend onto first attempt, who were caught off in the rotation, trying to exit out of Landslide. Fury said, no way, you're gonna come right back into our open arms.
Oh, yeah, and they're just cleaning it up, finding that onto an Amigo, and just really unfortunate that you're just going to have this brawl out into the open vicinity. But the issue about taking fights out here is that there's nowhere to go. You have no cover. This fence that's in front of you is not going to save you, and that's going to be all they wrote for first attempt. Some nice KP that Furia is able to get themselves, and not a bad start.
A KP that they need here too. As you can see, they're sitting 15th overall after their performance on Storm Point, just being a lot more lackluster than they were expecting. Now Fury could really shine on a map like World's Edge, where they feel way more at home, very similar to a lot of our other squads that are finally able to secure a lot more KP ESA, though, did rotate towards Tree to see if they could get a nice little cheeky angle at some of the teams that were rotating out on the outskirts of Tree. And now they're going to be able to see that there is nobody there right now, at least for what they want, and they want to prioritize their positioning, so they're just looking to go for a quick rotate rather than take their time on the outskirts of the circle.
About prioritizing your positioning, ESA gonna have to hit the road and hightail it. They've got the long rotation towards the north side of World's Edge, but I just gotta give a shout out to the whole thing. Phony, Capra, and Luda, they are performing so incredibly well here today, finding themselves in third place, but this is the spicy part of the map. You have to rotate through Harvester, which is pretty much the death zone of World's Edge, but TSM in the skies right now, you can see right now just getting absolutely tagged up.
And I love how TSM learned their lesson from the last game, said we're not even going to hang out on the outskirts of the circle. Instead, we need to fight for this real estate as they try to dive in up to Hal. He's alone for just a brief second before Reps makes an appearance.
Oh no, not one of these buildings again. And this is gonna be tripods, the ones that are gonna be taking the hand into TSM. Reps falls, but Verholst able to get a knock on to Nick. So getting that trade, Verholst using the knockdown shield to go ahead and hit the shields back up, going for the reset onto Reps. I like this move. They have all the information on when tripods are going to push back into the vicinity, but who is on the outskirts of the building again?
It's Optic Gaming, and they've taken on top of Pride Rock with skill takes, taking a nice little cheeky angle while the rest of Optic Gaming get involved in this fight. But Duplex falls incredibly low now as he's forced to get some extra cover. Here comes a communication, though, that I love. Look at Skittlecakes wrapping around to the left side so that way he can keep Duplex in his line of sight so he can apply some extra pressure while Duplex has forced the reset.
This is awesome because you've got Atlanta Premier. They are also finding some success in getting some downs onto the tripod team. They are just like sharks in the water for this building. You do not want to find yourself in these buildings. And look at the distance. That's going to be the guard with the charge rifle in the hands of Rambo, just putting some work down onto Optic Gaming. If you're going to find yourself out into the open for a little bit too long, you just have a beautiful little snow-capped hill that is going to shield yourself for that res. Able to get Skittlecakes back up on their feet and get a clean reset, but you know that you cannot repeat this because the guards got you in their sights.
Yeah, you saw the crypto drone flying right above their heads. Is it going to be a clean reset for them before that crypto drone grieves them in their shields with an EMP? We're going to have to see because it looks like they're just prioritizing just information to figure out which of these squads have already taken control over this building. This is the beauty of crypto. You're also going to be able to get the beacon just as quick without having to overextend and give up your own building. And with that, they're going to get some extra information. That's as far as the drone goes before the guard are just going to be able to stay put inside of this building.
Yeah, just trying to find as much information as possible. And every time I glance at the Elim feed, I'm just seeing another member of a different team, this time Verholst, with that charge rifle in hand. So I feel like if you're going to have anything that's going to be kind of meta, quote unquote, it might just be the charge rifle because you are basically able to find some success. And look at Rambo right now as well, one in hand with that 3x, a nice scope of choice for them.
Yeah, it's not the machine gun that Rambo's pulling up with. It's the charge rifle instead, but it beams you like it may as well put you in the microwave. ESA with the G7 in their hands. You see Capro now trying to cut the rotation off that squad. Wonder if that squad is struggling a little bit as they rotate to no man's land. Maybe see if they have an opportunity to scan that beacon that's over there, because north of Geyser, you could expect that beacon to be heavily contested by any squad from Fragment East all the way up to the southern part of the map.
Yeah, and look at the rotation. Phony putting out the heartbeat sensors, looking for some information. Slept on, just kind of chilling in the nearby vicinity, making sure they're also equally checking on their rotation in. But that's great that they were able to kind of get out of those early contests and make their way. It was such a long journey up from the tree vicinity all the way to that north zone again. So all of these teams that are like, come on, where are my south side end zones that I'm so used to on World's Edge? Because they usually would have the upper hand in that. But now they've got to have all these mid-game fights. But look who's on the screen in a nearby location. It's going to be Luminosity looking to continue their domination.
Luminosity hailing right over Sinus, please, and the other squads that are rotating in that direction of No Name. It's a fight for that beacon because information is key out here for Luminosity, especially looking like they're rocking the Caustic. Pander's also getting the knock onto FaZe. Unfortunately for Snipe Down now, having to play at a disadvantage. Hopefully the FaZe clan can actually reset real quick before they're forced in a third-party situation.
Ooh, and that's not where they want to be. Snipe down already down. Bubble coming out from Max. Now you've got a bubble fight, but they're going to win that one. Finds the knock onto Watson, trying to clean it up. The issue is they've already fulled Snipe down, and Help is just within an inch of their life. And Furia barely coming out on top, able to grab that shield spot before it, able to... But it's not going to be enough. 100 Thieves out here putting the work in. Well-timed third party. Oh, man, my heart.
And what's great here is that 100 Thieves usually plays by the edge of the circle, so what a great position for 100 Thieves to be in. Right time, right place to follow up and capitalize off that third party. There's another squad right below them, though. I'm wondering if they're going to get picked up by that Valkyrie passive. Yes, they do. Believe that may be E8 that's on the northern side of that circle, as 100 Thieves are looking to get on top of this building, taking a page out of Space Station's book on the other side.
Yeah, you are completely accurate in that call out. We recently saw Space Station on the roof, but 100 Thieves gonna drop down and reposition themselves. Look at the Watson fences catching the prey.
Oh my goodness, let's go in for a listen in an intense fight between 100 Thieves and the squad that's taking up the real estate inside the building.
I'm going here.
Ooh, a piece of candy.
Woo. You want to play in the
play on me for now. Gonna need a wall here. Gonna need a wall.
Like this.
Bit awkward.
A little bit awkward.
Standing here.
Yep.
Stop staring at me. Is this house free?
Yes.
I think we just
I
stay
need your
anyways.
knockdown. I didn't know you had a blue one.
We're gonna need maybe not a wall here. I don't know. We might need a wall here. Depend. Jen's gonna go. We're gonna need a wall here. Out on that side. I'm Baltic selling.
How many cells do you guys have?
I'm gonna place Jen here for now. Next wall's got to be this way. How close?
I'm only at 40.
I'm wondering if we go up that height.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
That's
just hard holes down here though.
No, we can't. I saw someone go there.
Okay.
Yeah, they're running over right now.
Buster, over there.
It's a rampage on the pack.
This team's trying to get angles. The Fuse team over here. We're gonna break a wall. How close? How close?
Watch it.
I'm at 60.
I'm safe on me. Safe on me.
I'm going inside. Safe on me as well.
Careful inside too.
Moving my mobile shield. It's gonna take a little walk this way.
You can hear the comms coming in from 100 Thieves while they get pinged in two different angles, one on the high ground, one to their side here. But I love the comms and the confidence coming in from 100 Thieves. Well, they are looking to make a complete turnaround after the results in the first day of their performance in the ALGS.
Yeah, and I love that they're kind of focusing on the need for the walls to really anchor down these open POIs. They are sharing that gold helm to try and get that Newcastle up to speed. We said about 60%, but they are just going to get fired upon. We saw the Watson already lose their Jenny quick, and the wall is now broken because when you've got multiple teams firing down, it gets destroyed pretty quickly. But Luminosity currently sitting in first place, 56 points, holding this bridge, and Niesel on the Caustic able to anchor it down with the gas traps.
Luminosity having Niesel on the Caustic is always so interesting because we've been seeing so many of these Watsons, but instead Luminosity opt to utilize the Caustic and the Caustic traps, but he gets beamed from behind. You gotta watch out with these charge rifles. I'm surprised he didn't get beamed right there, but that's gonna be the green light for that team to possibly push in and close in the gap. Luminosity needed to cover his back.
Yeah, Yanya says, I got a charge rifle too, buddy. I'm not gonna let you just punish my teammates for peeking. But TSM trying to make their way out. They are nestled into this building, trying to put the finishing touches. That's gonna be Oxygen Esports and Optic Gaming in front of them as well. This is a little bit dicey. You don't want to find this, but what you do want to find is reps with that Mastiff in hand.
Oh, but you don't want to see Skittle Cakes down here for Optic Gaming, leaving Optic as just a duo between Duplex and Nox. You see the black market on the high ground that they can also use to their own advantage, but they're playing off the side. They're trying to cover all these different angles. At least with Duplex alive, they are going to be able to have the passive heartbeat sensor from the Seer to give them enough information. As you can see, TSM trying to sneak their way through to look into the windows.
Ooh, I like any cheeky angle that you can get. That's one thing that I feel like a lot of these teams are so good at. It's utilizing the windows, utilizing the little crevices that they can. I've seen some insane plays come from it, but that's what you got to do sometimes.
Necessary, as you can hear the crypto drone just floating right above TSM's heads. Could be the guard who are still stationed inside one of those buildings off to the outskirts here.
We can cruise over here.
You see, they're also sharing that building with Space Station and C9, who were getting some cheeky Arcstar kills, as well as Optic Gaming are just looking to see if they can wrap around. Can they get Skittlecake's banner is the question.
The question indeed. But the question is, even after they get the banner, are they going to be able to stick the res? Once you get into that late game, it's almost impossible to bring your team back. We saw what happened to Vaxlon earlier on in a Stormpoint match, just basically feeding another kill point to an enemy team, and TSM nestled into the donut building. We heard the comms flying out in match number 4. Kind of, we need you to scan the donuts, make sure that no one's in the donut buildings. And honestly, it made me really want a donut. But Luminosity just taking insane damage from the thermite. But Yanya doing everything that they can to go ahead and hit that bat early to make sure that they are kind of healed up and utilizing those Nox traps to go ahead and control the space.
The fact that they were able to force their way on the low ground here up this building is also incredibly impressive. And with the Caustic, this is great news for them because they just need to inch their way slowly with the Caustic throws, paving a path for themselves and the rest of Luminosity. But they got to get rid of Atlanta Premier's Watson fences. And if they lose out on the fence, it's not like they can create more because unfortunately for Crook, he's not in this roster anymore. He's not in this game. And it doesn't look like Atlanta Premier were able to get his banner either.
Oh no, not what you want. And Luminosity just kind of trying to answer back and able to grab a knock onto enemy, but there was a trade. Hill grabbed Yanya, but they have the numbers advantage in the form of Luminosity, and Measle still up can throw Nox traps down so they can go ahead and go for the res on Yanya. The ability of Caustic in these buildings, it's just second to none right now.
Yeah, it's so difficult to try to contest unless an EMP from a different squad comes in. Let's say the guard who's been rotating around with the drone. This could be insane for Luminosity to get this free building. They clean up that member of enemy here, and they're going to be able to clear up the rest of this building. One last straggler, though, from that squad before they back away. It's going to be Atlanta Premier running away. And Luminosity Gaming now have all of this extra loot and that free building. Atlanta Premier, though, with just Hill, takes care of Sinus Police as a solo. He got away in time. He was the one that also had the crypto. Like, he could have used to his advantage versus those barrels, but he couldn't do it in time.
Oh my gosh, now Hill, the IGL for Atlanta Premier, last standing, trying to get the Phoenix kit off with basically just a barrel and a dream just nestled inside that storage container. And Luminosity looking so strong down here on the low ground. Yanya, Vicky going off with the charge rifle, just really controlling this area. This is what you have to do. If we're going back into that north zone, Luminosity has fought and clawed their way, and they are saying, hey, we are coming out on the top end of this day. They just need to keep it consistent. They've had as many as 15 eliminations in one map throughout the day.
It's actually crazy to see how Yanya has popped off all day today with the rest of Luminosity. Double-digit kills alone going in favor for Yanya, like we saw in the overall kill leaderboards. They're pinging aggressively. The squad that's still playing off the low ground. I'm wondering if Luminosity is seeing this as free KP, but do they overextend to get there?
That is a gamble. Anytime you overextend, you're running that risk of getting caught out into the open. And when you don't have the mobility, you've got Caustic. Yeah, the Horizon has mobility, and the Valk can kind of finesse a little bit, but you don't want to lose any members of your team. You're running an area, like a composition, where you can control a location. Look at Optic, though. This is the first time we're seeing them kind of make their way in towards that end game, but that crypto EMP is going to wreak a little bit of havoc, and they're still a duo.
Yeah, their best placement was to 7th place overall in this entire day. Yes, they're playing this as a duo, but sometimes you got to count your blessings, especially when there's 11 squads left. Space Station, though, fully sending it. The PK with only a white shotgun choke here as Dropped forces his way into this building like the Kool-Aid Man, and now they're going to be able to take up all this extra space inside the bottom part of this building.
Can I get an oh yeah for them? Space Station out here with the fences and Luminosity. We looked away for 1 second, and the next thing you know, they're finding so much trouble, and Measle last alive trying to stay and make it happen, but it's going to be Optic that's going to finish out Jaguars and Co. But they have found themselves, when they get off the high ground, they're basically an open season for the rest of the lobby, and everyone is looking at them.
They didn't rotate fast enough. They had the high ground originally. They just needed to find an opening to rotate in, and I guess they got caught off, and they dropped on top of the heads of Optic Gaming, who've been playing this passively as they should as a two-man. Now TSM losing out of reps. That arcs are perfectly placed to add in some of that extra pressure. I can only imagine what the comps are sounding like right here, but how it gets out of the line of sight of the Seer Tactical so he can actually pop that med kit.
Yeah, this is going to be hard because you see Optic on the low ground, still alive right there, but the TSM going to go ahead and try to get the res off before Caesar Tactical tries to come through and eliminate that as well. But Season going to leave the lobby, now 7 squads remaining, and this is going to be troublesome. I do like the fact that they have this bridge to kind of work within this staircase to provide a little bit of cover, because it's kind of hard to shoot through a staircase in Apex. But those incoming ARC stars, shout out to the teams that are making it to the end game with a lot of ordnance.
Yeah, that's 100 Thieves on the high ground here, too. You know that Guard is playing right underneath them, so is C9. 100 Thieves over to the side to try to contest Optic Gaming that are playing off the low ground. Again, a very similar circle to the one that we just had in game number 4. This time it's 100 Thieves, though, on the other side of Climatizer that have the high ground. TSM, can they pinpoint Optic Gaming? Where does Optic Gaming even go? I mean, the only other option really is either risk it all for the Biscuit to take that zipline into the hands of 100 Thieves, take the Skyward Dive, because you don't have the Horizon Gravity Lift to put you up on the high ground.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. The fact that 100 Thieves is still alive, that wall coming in absolutely clutch, and the fences coming out from Onmu. This is going to help solidify this positioning, but we've seen how aggressive these teams are in the lobby, where they just get full sent. Teams are not shy of aping the behind the fences, but the question is, who's it gonna be this time? I do see a Fuse ult in the middle of the map as well, and the Guard just trying to keep it alive from the cover of their shelter.
You saw that dupe goes down at the hands of Hal, but they split up just in time because the last member Optic Gaming has managed to make their way over to the side of Dubelie. That's knocked in TSM. Look at the desperation play right now. They're forced to play off this low ground. Noct finally gets finished. You saw his death boxes fall out of nowhere. And that's going to be at the hands of Guard. C9 as well, cleaning up, getting involved in that fight. They're going to be able to fully send it up, but it's only up to Kaon. It's the Guard that get eliminated. C9 having a chance, but it's at the hands of E8 that they're facing off against on the back end of this building. 100 Thieves versus E8, while TSM are still forcing their way into this next circle. Only 2 left. TSM get taken out. It's only up to 100 Thieves, and they finally come out on top. The consistency is alive for this team, and they are patiently waiting in the corner with that Newcastle.
That was glorious. We saw them in the dead center of the ring with like 17 teams remaining here in map number 5. We heard the comms of them talking about the strategy of where they were going to make their moves, and welcome back, Fallout. How insane was that?
Absolutely nuts. 100 Thieves showing some life. They'll break into the top 5 with that performance. Kudos to them, and they do it with that same bunker down team composition that's been working so well for them. They're the ones that started it. They're the ones that are still doing it the best. Watson and Newcastle. Kudos to 100 Thieves. We will give Tiff a moment of break as we welcome back Vicky to break down the action from game number 5. 100 Thieves on top, Vicky. And outside of that, what did you see that really stood out to you?
Well, aside from the fact that we got a very similar circle pulling to the north, my eyes were on the teams that were able to get to that spot that they felt comfortable with in the last game, very similarly to how they were going to approach it differently in this game. You saw the likes of TSM actually, instead of playing on the outskirts of the circle like they did in game number 4, they wanted to make sure that they could play from inside the circle so that way they could ease their way into where the circle could be pulling. Unfortunately, though, just like Optic Gaming, and I believe just like we saw with Luminosity, they were caught in the middle of the rotation where the circle was pulling away from them, and they were left out in the open like sitting ducks.
Yeah, ended up costing them. On the flip side, though, worked out well for 100 Thieves, dropping Skyhook east, able to make the quick rotation to Climatizer, get good positioning in circle with the fast rotation, and then work their way in. Of course, with the Newcastle ultimate certainly helped them. A team that's dropping Skyhook with them, not necessarily finding the same success or fortune as FaZe. They're actually taking the Team Liquid drop spot since TL is not in this lobby. Smart decision from them, getting trials, getting Skyhook West, getting a ton of loot, but still not able to find success. So we'll take a look at the highlights here, but wonder ultimately what's happening for some of these top teams. I'm not sure if we're catching all the action on feed.
I'm wondering if it's just a lot of the tricky situations in the middle of these contentions and the rotations that we've seen with these northern circles, but we saw this 50-50 happening again between Tripods and Sentinels, and Tripods once again winning on top.
Yeah, that's right. Tripods are the benefactors of the fight over towards Overlook. Finally, we're seeing the Tripods not just say, let's drop where no one else is. I'm okay fighting Sentinels, and Tripods have been dominating that 3v3 fight. Not a year and a half ago, if I would have told you that Sentinels would lose any 3v3 fight, you would have thought I was crazy. I would have thought I was crazy, but instead, Tripods on top. TSM in this really, really tough fight here. You saw them with the ultimate kills over Tripods sooner than later. FaZe Clan, though, this is where they fell. Snipe down, goes down early. Slurp takes a lot of damage with 18 squads left. The bubble comes down, and FaZe is able to clean up a few of these kills, but ultimately gets taken out soon after here. Furia, third party, came through.
And that was funny, too. You saw Furia literally come from the skies as if there were a gift just provided by the Apex gods out here. here. And 100 Thieves as well, playing off the low ground. They played off this position for a really long time. We even did a listen in to see what their thoughts were. Said, ooh, candy. I don't know what candy he was talking about. Could have been some free KP, could have been nice loot that they could work with. But this is also the moment when Luminosity were able to win this building outside of Atlanta Premier, but they were unable to really get the proper rotate to get into that next circle.
Yeah, they just brute force their way in. LG just pushes in like a SWAT team, takes names, and doesn't really hold back. And right there in that 3v3 against AP, they're able to do exactly that. Space Station here in this late game is able to make it to the top 6, I believe. Optic loses Skittlecakes, who gets taken out. Not sure exactly what happened from his point of view, but I'm sure he would have wanted that back. LG and ultimately ended up falling to the hands of the Ring closing in on them, and Optic was able to make it fairly late. 8th place finish for them. And then we had teams like Guard and Season. You thought it might be the same thing happening again, but no. Season got taken out. TSM on this high ground was able to punish that final squad, but in the end, it was 100 Thieves with that superior positioning. Again, the Newcastle ultimate, the cover it provides, too much, too strong. 100 Thieves cleans up and gets a much-needed win here in Game 5, which gives them a chance to fight for top 3 in Game 6. 21 points for them, Vicky.
Wow, 9 kills going in favor to 100 Thieves as well. You see E8 right behind them with 5 KP to their name, coming in second. TSM, as well as cleaning up the last member of Optic Gaming. That was going to be Duplex over to the side. Knocked also getting eliminated by the likes of C9, who lands, by the way, in Climatizer. So that's a really big deal for C9, because back-to-back games where the circle is pulling towards your POI grants you all the openings for you to also secure that extra KP that you needed.
That's right. Flip down to the second page here. Atlanta Premier, BR Demons, Furia, FaZe, Sentinels again in this second page. Tripods as well. Not able to get themselves the points that they needed to give themselves a chance to top 5. And let's take a look at the overall series results. After 5 games, it's still going to be none other than Luminosity on top. Season right behind them. They're holding on from the laurels of the first 2 back-to-back game wins that they had. But look how much more close this is now, Vicky. We asked the question, will the 3 teams continue to run away with it, or will other teams catch up? I think our question has been answered here. All the way down to TSM in 8th place with 33 points. They have a chance to potentially break into the top 3 with a big game here. 100 Thieves puts themselves in the running as well.
They need a pop-off game, though, so that way they can have that chance, that contention. Because Luminosity, yes, the gap is closing in. Right behind Luminosity was Season right there with 47 points. ESA have been fragging out. They have the 46 points. But Luminosity have been on another level, because it's not just the KP that they're securing for themselves. It's obviously the placement points that they're able to obtain for themselves.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and welcome SpiderTiff back to the conversation here. After 5 games, ST, we got ourselves quite the Game 6 ahead of us, with Luminosity pretty well poised to win this one. But again, not necessarily a free win like we saw from Alliance. I kind of called that one done and dusted after 5. Luminosity has to be a little bit cautious here going into this last game. If they drop a donut, well, any other team behind them can bring it back. But ultimately, I think it is going to be mostly a race for top 3, 2nd and 3rd place.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I was listening to a lot of those comms, the way you guys were kind of highlighting everything. And I think it's one of those moments where I'm like doing some math. There's 19 points in between. You've got LG at the top, BR Demons in 5th place. So now the question is, you mentioned it, can someone get another stellar game, maybe 20 plus points, and shake up the top?
That's right, we've seen it before. Our record for ALGS Year 3, 19 kills. And by the way, they did it in EMEA 2 or 3 games in a row, which is insane. So that is a 30-plus point game, certainly possible in these lobbies. We'll see if any of these teams can do it. Vicky, 100 Thieves look really good, though, and you got to give some respect to that. You got to talk about the way that they played it. Obviously, they're coming from Skyhook. It was a favorable zone for them for sure, but in the end, they executed with the Newcastle Ultimate. Talked about 100 Thieves and their performance today.
Yeah, I mean, Onmu's been having an amazing pop-off day. Just before that game, I think Onmu had secured himself a total of 6 KP, which may not sound like a lot, but with their positioning and them getting 3rd place as their best placement, they're still been on the cusp between 9th to 10th place in the overall leaderboards. Now is their opportunity to turn things around, though, Fall. After coming off of that dub, this is definitely one of those squads that like to ramp up with momentum.
And they ramp up indeed. Last chance to do so. We'll see where the zone pulls. Will it be another northern zone, or will we go down south? Game number 6 is here. Once again, ladies and gentlemen in the chat, blow it up. Let us know which team you want to perform here in Game 6. Is it 100 Thieves, TSM, Space Station, or are you rooting for the young guns or the rookies in BR Demon Season and the like? Let us know who you want to win. Let's go ahead and throw it over for the last time to Vicky Kitty and SpiderTiff.
Thank you so much, Follow. Let's get this started. Our final game here on World's Edge for NA day number 3, Tiff. And I'm excited after the chaos that we saw go down over on the north side of the map. Now, the question is, are we finally going to see a southern circle? Nope. no, it's okay. We're still going north. We're still traveling north. You know what World's Edge is telling us, though, Tiff? It's telling us enough of these southern circles. I was so tired of seeing southern circles always landing on top of Lava Siphon. Now we get a bit of that mix-up war. This one may not be in Climatizers. A 50-50 came out from Slept On. They take it over Sign Us, please. But the tree action has been non-stop since we decided to move over to World's Edge on game number 4.
Psycho over here with 15 bullets and an R301 and a Dream. This is a 2-for-3 contest over here at Tree. Slept On coming out on top. This is what you want to do, but I mean, you're still sitting in 17th place, but you are able to garner yourself some early KP here on World's Edge. And as we saw that ring pull once again towards the north side, just outside of Climatizer this time, all I could think about is that World's Edge is just out here trying to nerf Luminosity and Optic, because those are the teams that are going to fall victim to having to make such a large rotation.
Which is even more impressive to say that Luminosity has been able to get to those final circle positioning so quick with KP in the process of their rotation. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to play this with the circle pooling at least a little closer. If this doesn't pull towards Fragment, we can expect this pulling towards No Name between Survey Camp and Fragment West. As we take a look at the action happening in Landslide, it's going to be Furia chasing down Space Station.
Hey, I do love a good hot pursuit, and Space Station has their eyes set, and you know what? Let's see what they're going to do. They're still like, I'm trying to get out of dodge. I don't want to deal with Furia here in Landslide, but enemy shield's going to be broken on that Watson, but Furia is going to say, you know, we're not going to lose in that chase. We're going to keep on keeping on, grab those materials, maybe craft up some utility, and just play for that end game. And as you can see right here, Watson, let's see, what you going to craft, guy? What you want?
Let's see. Let's find out here. What's in the replicator here for Watson? Getting all the materials that he needs between the shield bats and the medkits, because you saw how quickly they were to chase after Space Station. You would think that Space Station took their cereal milk or something out here because Furio looked hungry. But they also were able to secure this space over in Landslide, which means that they have a beacon to their name, and they denied that information away from Space Station, as Oxygen are also cleaning up on the guard. RKN falling in the middle of the open field where Oxygen Esports was able to pressure them out.
Guard, you okay? This is a very interesting move. We don't usually see the guard going out this early on, so I'm curious. I'm looking at you, Keon. I'm looking at you, Rambo, with that purple shield. How are you going to answer back? You cannot let RKN go down alone. You need to exact your vengeance now.
That's insane here. The guard really need to be able to clean up and get some extra points, because this is one of the more consistent squads that we've kept highlighting in the pre-show. They got number 1 in day number 2, and they're currently sitting in 6 overall, so losing out on a member is definitely not one way they want to end the day for our final game of the day in NA. Oxygen Esports still sending it forward, though, onto one of the last stragglers of guard.
Yeah, I think our teams to watch at the beginning of the pre-show are kind of washed at this point. It's rather unfortunate, but I love seeing a lot of teams that maybe have not caught the eyes of the world now garnering some attention, and Oxygen Esports utilizing that bubble to find some safety over here in Fragment and get that beacon information available to them, because they kind of need that, right? Because you've got reps just on the outskirts of Fragment, and this is kind of TSM's old home, right? Before they moved, dropped POIs over to Lava Siphon, this used to be their area. They claimed this.
I don't think they miss it, though. Aside from the fact that sometimes you got that beacon, you got that lackluster loot over in Fragment East. Now they can keep control over not only Lava Siphon, but the beacon over there when it does pull in that direction, and a great amount of loot. So TSM says, you know what, we don't miss it, but it's a great rotation point for them, as they're going to try to cut off the rotation of the squad that's taken to the skies. I'm wondering if that's Oxygen who took to the skies with the Skyward Dive.
Yeah, because they've got to go ahead and get that rotation outskirts. Ooh, but a little bit of a Kraber action in the hands of Reps. Just trying to fire out some warning shots. The moment you hear that Kraber bullet just kind of zoom by your face, you're just like, all right, now I've got to scatter, find some cover, because now TSM's like, we're still getting that rotation in. It's going to keep obviously pulling just to the north side of Epicenter, because all of these teams are making that long journey throughout the terrain of World's Edge and just setting up shop over here.
Yeah, with so many teams making their rotation to Climatizer, the question is there any space available for them? They see that these buildings have been looted already. TSM do find a home, though, that is available for them to take up shop. So they're going to deny themselves the opportunity of getting beacon for the next circle, since they don't have a beacon nearby here. And you can see the pings from Burhos to see if they can make their next move. But they have a lot better loot to work with than they did in the last game when they went in for an early rotation with the Skyward Dive into Climatizer.
Yeah, and I like that they took the absolute north position with the ring at their back. Similarly, we saw tripods kind of holding this area, but they elected not to go inside the building they landed on, which, you know, after 2 maps in World's Edge of 2 zones up here, I really am happy that you decided to not enter that building, because at this point, I think those buildings are cursed. But let's just jump on to FaZe. You know, they had already tweeted out, second, we don't want to have it's not a fluke, right? We're here to show out, but they're currently sitting in 19th place, Vicky.
Yeah, and they need all the KP that they need as well as the placements, because they have not gotten a single good placement really. And I just got to call it out as it is, because at the moment, FaZe is sitting in overall 19th place with their best placement being 14th place. They don't want to replicate that with 19 squads still in the lobby and BR Demons to their north. Meanwhile, they're going to set themselves up in a sandwichy situation because Fury are coming in on their 6.
Ooh, you gotta watch your 6, because if anyone's gonna go on the aggro, it's going to be his Watson and co. And look at that. You've already forced the Gibby bubble. You're not gonna be able to have that reset. As soon as it eliminates, you're gonna have a 30-second cooldown on that. And Zera gonna go ahead and throw out the black hole, coupling it out with some arc stars. That's gonna be absolute decimation, but no one got sucked in, and they were able to destroy it quick enough.
They destroyed it so quick, but we got to talk about the placement of that black hole. If that actually did not get destroyed as quickly as it did from FaZe, props to them for recognizing how bad of a situation it would have been in for them, and they immediately got rid of it. But it was nice option coverage right there from Furia. They see that the black hole didn't work out for them, so instead of engaging on the other squads on the other side of the train tracks, that would have been the green light for FaZe to find a way to third party. They're just going to disengage instead. They're going to hold on to the northern side of Fragment West to see if they can get information off of the beacon that's off to the right.
I think it's really smart when you can acknowledge what a bad fight is going to look at. And everyone has played competitive on World's Edge for so long that they know getting stuck inside those tunnels on the outside of Survey Camp is not where you want to find yourself. You do not want to ever take a fight in there, especially against Furia with a black hole ultimate available to them. But TSM right now holding this donut building, just prepped and ready. So many donuts. We kept talking about donuts, and I'm just like, I don't think I've had dinner yet, Vicky. And now I'm starving.
Yeah, no, my dinner is watching these other squads pick up the KP. It's okay. At least one of us is feasting out here. But we need to see if TSM can feast themselves, because they're sitting overall at 8th place. They got 33 points to their name, and Rev still has a Kraber in his hands. Well, they are going to be able to restabilize inside of this building. This is the same situation that we saw Luminosity in when they forced their way to get this building out of the hands of Atlanta Premier, and then they were cut off in the middle of the rotation where they were forced to be out in the open once this circle closed in. So let's hope that this doesn't end up being the same case for TSM in the next 40 seconds.
Yeah, what's going to be tough is we saw Furia kind of rotating out of that tunnel through Survey Camp. We saw FaZe early on make that disengage, so they could be following up behind them, which would put them in the nearby vicinity of TSM. So should anyone want to chow TSM for their positioning, you've got to keep an eye out. But luckily, they do have that Seer in the team composition to make sure no one's coming their way. And Luminosity, it's always Yanya with that charge rifle kind of peeking through the windows, and they're just inside a fragment. It's like kind of restaurant building. I like their positioning, holding it down on the very outskirts. You mentioned they like to play edge, and yeah, they haven't found any eliminations just yet, but there's no need to rush. They have 12 points on the 2nd place team, so they just need to go the distance here.
Yeah, they could take their time, and there's 19 squads left here still. They also note that this other squad is situating themselves inside of the building right next door. Gonna neighbor down real quick as we see ESA in the middle of their rotation are transcending through No Name. Wondering if there's a beacon here for them to work with. I don't think I saw a beacon here. I think the beacon actually is still over by Fragment instead. So ESA don't have that information, so they could be transcending towards Fragment to see if they could at least take control of that beacon. If not, then they may need to look at a different approach, because the next beacon after that inside the circle is going to be Epicenter.
Jumping on board with ESA, you've got Phony, Capra, and the new addition in Luda. So, loving what we've been seeing for them. They've found themselves nestled into that top 3 position, but they are not safe. You mentioned that game number 5 was your favorite. Well, game number 6 is going to be mine, and Furia going all in on the action. This time it's a black hole coming their way, and Zera trying to get an arc star in for some damage. They are going to find some success as that ordinance does connect, but now you've got a Gibraltar ultimate coming your way on FaZe. That's gonna be theirs, and they're just trying to keep Furia off their backs once again.
Oh, it's the bombardment that does it for me, and you know when that bombardment comes down, that's got to be Albert Lately, but he gets beat from the side. Furia now making their appearance from the high ground. They're looking to contest FaZe, and now they're going to be able to clean them up. They go down in 19th place. They don't go through with their curse in terms of placement all day today. Unfortunate end to FaZe, as they're going to have to bow their heads after a pretty tough day number 3 for NA.
It's one of those moments where it's like you just cut your losses and GG go next. You come back stronger. You don't let one bad day set you apart and determine what you have. But now, coming on board, Luminosity, your current lobby leaders, it's slept on the other side of this engagement. They're just kind of nestled on the outskirts of the window, trying to get some early damage on the boat. Oh, let's see how this black hole goes. Gonna couple it with some thermites, and now just all the damage going down onto Luminosity.
Oh, I know Boat is mad about that one. That quick shield swap here from Luminosity, I know they gotta hit them with the quickness, but taking it off angle here is Karma, and it's not gonna be enough because Luminosity counter-rotated around this building. An amazingly played fight there from Luminosity to get themselves out of a bad, disadvantageous position with the quick shield swaps, with the quick resets, and now they're gonna be able to bunker down with the caustic trap so that way they could reset their health.
I mean, Luminosity just absolutely punished Slept On for even thinking that they could chow them in that building, and they're just going to show you why they are at the top of the leaderboard here today. And speaking of the top of the leaderboard, we may have a shakeup. Season themselves going to go down in, I believe, 16th place, so ESA going to find some success and can find themselves either in first or second. And look at Luna taking the grab lift up and decimating Nick Mercs.
Knock knocks, bet you weren't expecting me coming up on a gravity lift. This is beautiful here from Esports Arena. Let's jump into a quick listening from ESA while Luda falls incredibly low.
Holding the team or what?
I'm not
She
kidding.
just stepped back south. Horizon on me, just playing by herself. Medding. She's trying to finish me.
I'm not kidding. We can drop if you want.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
He's on the open,
Zone's closing, you need to get out. Yes. Zone's closing, you need to get out. Literally just drop down and you're good.
I'm going to the truck. I'm going this way.
Truck's not good. Okay, yeah.
I have to go under.
I good play there. Play inside too. Play inside too if you have to.
Oh no, not like this. Not when you decide to jump down for some cover. You can hear the shock in Capra and Luda's voice when Tripods with just Deed alive jumped up on top of him. I could only hear the comms going in from Nick Mercs. You're just better, Deeds. You're just better. You gotta come up from that. He isn't able to recover the banners, but it's a W that he's willing to take with all the shield swaps in the world and a lot of the loot that he can work with. He needs it. He had limited ammunition with the charge rifle. I'm wondering if he's gonna swap out that gun. And Luminosity Gaming, as we take a look at where they're positioned right now on the high ground, they definitely got whiff of the fight that just happened right underneath them. But do they know it's just Deeds from Tripods up and live?
I haven't recovered from that Deeds vengeance. He just avenged Nick Mercs and just came in with a Thanos snap inside that tube, but Luminosity still leading the charge here now. Going to be probably uncontested for the top of the leaderboard unless 100 Thieves and BR Demons puts up a stellar game here in game number 6, and LG just looking so strong and dominating.
Oxygen trading once again with Guard. This time, though, it's Oxygen that get eliminated. Guard, the last game, had tried to get a trade off of Oxygen, and it just spelled their demise. Luminosity still on the high ground, like we were mentioning before, Tip, and they got the beamage with the charge rifle. Sometimes all you need is a little two-scope, but you gotta watch out who's behind you. It's Optic Gaming, putting in the pressure between themselves, the G7, and their own charge rifle.
Yeah, this is going to be a great fight for Optic Gaming. You can see they're just kitted out, absolutely. They have the G7 scouts at their disposal for those mid-range fights, and the moment you start putting those shots connecting together, the G7 scout will just absolutely wreck an enemy in lieu. So I think that's what they need to do. Just play these rocks, throw out the missile swarms, kind of stun your opponent if you have that ability, but they're a little bit split, and I kind of like this from Nock, trying to get a cheeky angle, but unable to really find some success. They're going to drop down to the low ground, join up with Skittle and Dupe, and you know, maybe just keep on keeping on. 12 squads remaining and looking really strong.
Yeah, I love how you highlighted the G7. That's my favorite gun, and with the crossfire that Optic Gaming like to go for the different angles that they communicate to hold, so that way one teammate could actually be the insurance for the other teammate just in case. It's always nice to see those comms go into fruition for Optic Gaming. They take to the skies as Luminosity are in a fight where they're playing at a disadvantage. They're playing off the low ground right now, and Optic Gaming taking to the skies actually may just land right next to Luminosity. Luminosity, they got to be careful because that's C9 right on top of Luminosity.
Hey, you said playing from the low ground, but one grab lift away from having a god tier positioning on the team in their lineup site. And look at the difference. Jaguars going to find that knock onto Onmu, and this is just going to be an absolute decimation of 100 Thieves, and this is not what you want after coming out on top in map 5.
Absolutely not. I also saw Vayne actually land on top of Luminosity as TSM in this intense fight with Rep still holding on to the Kraber. They're playing off the low ground. Originally, I thought it was C9 that was close together with Luminosity, but it was actually originally 100 Thieves before another squad ended up taking control over that Pride Rock. Sentinels now in more trouble. They may not have lost out on that 50-50 because they didn't dare take that 50-50, but they lose out on their lives as they fall in 11th place. The bow check coming out of nowhere from Panders.
A little bit of Katniss Everdeen action, getting kind of feisty. You know it's going to be an area of destruction if Furia enters one of these buildings, and you can see that TSM that was recently nestled underneath trying to get a reset, but Watson's not going to allow that to happen. So much damage coming out. Meanwhile, Panders is going to heal, and Watson on that Seer, throwing out the tactical, not going to let anyone get away from them.
I'm having so much deja vu right now. This is the same building I'm pretty sure Furia and TSM had fought before. Optic Gaming moved in for our third party. I don't expect that to happen this time around because of a different positioning that Optic is in, but TSM get funneled outside this building and get deleted. Furia with their name on top. Optic as well with some more picks themselves. It's going to be on to Luminosity now playing off the low ground. They're playing at a disadvantage. I believe they're still dealing with the fact that 100 Thieves is still contesting them.
Yeah, it's just Jaguars last alive, trying to find just a sliver of cover to be able to go ahead and re-shield up. You're running a little bit low on resources. This is your last bat. You have 3 shield cells remaining, and if you don't find something in a nearby loot box, you're going to be all you wrote.
Yeah, that's Optic Gaming that actually helped out Jaguares at the very end right there. They took out the last member of 100 Thieves while still maintaining that high ground positional advantage. Optic Gaming are going to back up. They're not even going to fully send it on that one last straggler. But with the Seer Tactical, they have all the information that they need to know that there is that Solas playing off their left.
This is a moment. Optic Gaming holding this high ground is going to be such a key to success, and they just need to make sure that they eliminate everyone because they're getting so much information here. Dupe just making sure, hey, giving all the calls out for the team. Yeah, they let Luminosity Straggler go out, but this is going to be all they run because enemy is going to find them, say, hey, you're done, you're out. 4 squads remaining, and Optic Gaming making it to the end game circle is what we are used to seeing, but not today. This is the first time where they are garnering some good position and just throwing down all the damage.
This is the Optic Gaming that I'm used to seeing. This is the God spot that I need them to be in amazing shots, not only with the G7, but with the Missile Storm from Noct. And with the Optic Gaming being one of the 4 remaining, we got to highlight C9 on the other side. Atlanta Premier, Furia meeting them on the other side of the train tracks. All these teams right now playing at different corners of this final circle.
Ooh, it's just going to be a matter of how this is going to pull, and Optic Gaming is going to be able to hold this high ground for a little bit longer, I believe, but the moment they get forced to jump, they're going to go into the open arms of C9. Everyone's going to have an LOS on them, but Cloud9, this should be the moment when people turn their eyes on them because they don't have a lot of health. Rocker within a centimeter trying to just nestle themselves into this rock to re-shield up, and the teammates are essentially body blocking.
He really wanted that thermite finish off. I know he did. He got the knock, but he can't get the finish. As Optic Gaming are making sure to keep them at bay right now. They're going to continue on the pressure from this high ground off of this Pride Rock, but they are not going to be giving up this space. Even with Duplex having this limited ammunition, he's just going to stay put, but he has to remember that that G7 doesn't have a lot to work with right now.
Yeah, they just have to bide their time. Once we get into these kind of scenarios in the end game, we've seen it throughout the entirety of the day. It's the team that can withstand the chaos for as long as possible and force the other teams to kind of duke it out. That's how you find success. Meanwhile, it's going to be Atlanta Premier putting the nail in the coffin for Furia. 3 squads remaining. It's going to be Cloud9. It's going to be Atlanta Premier, and it's going to be Optic Gaming, and they're still holding the God spot.
And they're not going to give it up anytime soon. Remember, they are juggling G7s like it is a circus, and they are the clowns here to provide all the entertainment. Instead, this time, they're also the MVPs. C9, though, getting the knocks down below is still not going to deter Optic Gaming from giving up this space. They need to wrap around. They need to get right behind C9, and now they're looking to infiltrate. They're looking a third party from the high ground.
And now you see it. Optic Gaming trying to make a last stand here. Cloud9 was able to get Atlanta Premier out, and this is going to be spicy. And then Optic Gaming finally showing showing up here in map number 6 today. This is what they needed, Vicky. This is the Optic Gaming that you know and love.
Yep, this is the green wall going up, better late than never, because they definitely needed that dub after this game, though. Before this game, rather, they were sitting in 14th overall. They got the KP, they got the Godspot, and they got the final game in their pocket. Fallout, what an amazing end to our day here in NA.
Has there ever been a greater God spot in the late game ALGS circle in history? There was no chance Optic was losing that game. It was basically Zeus, Poseidon, and Ares sitting on top of Mount Olympus watching and guaranteeing themselves the easiest dub of their lives. Congratulations to Optic, but earning that God spot, getting there in the late game, securing KP along the way. They finally wake up in game number 6. A little bit too late, though, you think, Spider Tiff, but that will be pretty big for them in terms of overall standings. That will put them at least within the top 8, top 9, maybe even top 7.
I mean, you've got to salvage as much as you can because it's pretty much a war of attrition to find yourself within the top 9 at the end of split 1. So doing this is going to salvage them as many points as possible. And I respect it, right? They had 5, I believe, eliminations going into that final fight. So basically, they probably picked up another 3 to 4. They got the 12 placement points. Hey, I'm not going to do math because caster math never works on the spot, but they probably got themselves a good 20-point game.
Yeah, massive showing for Optic. We'll, of course, see the overall standings when we have them ready to show on display. But really, the late game there, Vicky, was a bunch of teams that weren't necessarily within the top 5 that needed the points to give themselves at least something leaving this Pro League day. And for everyone watching at home, keep in mind, every single day of Pro League, based on your placement, you'll get points. Overall cumulative points at the end of the season, top 9 will qualify automatically for the Split 1 playoffs. The rest have to earn it via ALGS overall pro points or last chance qualifier. So with that in mind, pretty big games for Cloud9. Atlanta Premier in 9th. Cloud9 was in 10th going into that game. Optic was in 14th and Furia was in 16th. So again, some teams that you expect to be in the top 7 going, fighting for top 1, but instead they're at the bottom of the leaderboards. Really needed those points, Vicky.
Yeah, and if you want to highlight them, Sentinels, even though they did it where they weren't the first squad to go down in the lobby, I'm not even trying to take any jabs there. It's the fact that they were able to at least secure some points at the very end of that game 6. They didn't dare take the 50-50 against Tripods like they had been in World's Edge and the 50-50 that they took back in Stormpoint. Instead, they had to play safe. So I'm wondering if this is a statement from Sentinels moving forward within the rest of the ALGS.
Yeah, that's a good point. You highlight Sentinels, but then you also highlight the team that took them out. It was TSM who pushed them and decided the third party of that fight. Did it to some success, insane shots from Hal, but right after got immediately aped and inted by Furia. Good job by Furia recognizing an opportunity to pick up additional kill points. You thought TSM was going to go on a bit of a run there, Tiff.
I really did. I thought as soon as they came down from that skyward dive and elected not to enter the building, but instead just kind of poke around the area a little bit more, I was like, okay, this is going to be a change of pace. They're not going to get caught into a building. Instead, they just got caught underneath one, and Furio once again third partying them. So I just feel like it's kind of tough. It's not really their best showing, and I'm sure they're going to go GG, go next. Let's avoid those buildings at all cost.
Yeah, that's right. We'll see if they will have a chance to, maybe put some effort into scrims this week and bounce back coming into the Thursday night Pro League. I believe they'll be playing again, if I remember correctly. I think we'll see Group B on Thursday night. So go next indeed for Furia. They at least get a couple points there. Really high kill game. Watson was kill leader at one point, so they might, made a dent in the overall standings as well. Let's take a look at the highlights though from game number 6. They're ready, they're prepared, and Tiffany and Vicky walk us through it.
Yeah, starting off with the highlights here, we saw the early contention, the 50-50 over by Tree from a squad that we didn't get to see the 50-50 go down with. And while things did slow down at the very beginning of this final game, we saw FaZe get caught out in the middle of the rotation. Again, they were sandwiched between the likes of BR Demons and I believe it was Fury who came in on their 6.
Yeah, it was definitely Furia that hunted them through the tunnel on the outskirts of Survey, but this push from Luda onto Nick Merckx was hands down just monumental. I cannot believe that, especially with Nick Merckx on a seer. How could you not read that? But hey, it's okay. Deeds enacted vengeance for you, and Luminosity right here. This is the moment where we saw them kind of go towards that solo.
It can be a little tricky sometimes when you're in the heat of the moment. That's when Sentinels goes down here, and that's when TSM thought that they had the advantage. But with a little bit of deja vu, Furia was looking to go in for the third party, clean them up, and with no Optic Gaming inside, Furia could restabilize and make their way into the top 4 of the end of this game.
Yeah, LG, you saw right there in the late game, doing just enough. A 5th place finish. I think they got some kill points along the way. You got to think, especially given the overall finishing of the top teams in this lobby, LG did enough to win this one. So it should be Mexico and LG on top. We'll confirm that here when we take a look at the standings in a moment. But Optic, this was that moment where they had ultimate high, they had God spot. The zone was closing in on them, and they were able to just creep it on their prey. In the end, you're right, a 20-point game for Optic. 8 kills, first place, 12 points. That'll be pretty big for them. They had 21 points going into that game. So they'll end up with 41. You wonder where that's going to put them in the threshold. Certainly within the top 10. Cloud9 with a respectable 8 kills, 2nd place finish. 17 overall points will certainly help them. Furia pops off in the kill feed with 9, as well as Atlanta Premier making it for some good placement as well, Tiff.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what they need to do, and I'm pretty shocked that my math was correct. It was actually spot on with the 8 elims for 20 total points. Sometimes I catch myself a little off guard, but I'm kind of impressed. But let's look through 11th through 20th place. FaZe going out in 19th, but I mean, can you blame them? They had 3 climatizer zones. It just seems like it was not their day, but Oxygen Esports able to win a map, finding themselves outside the top 10 as well. Just a tough day for some of these teams.
And in season, started so strong on Storm Point, couldn't finish off on World's Edge. Well, as a result, guess what? They're still sitting in 2nd place. They hold on by a thread. Luminosity wins it. Mexico on top of North America, at least this week. Congratulations to Jaguares alongside Nizel and Yanya. They'll take home first. Coach Bistillo, I'm sure, is proud. And all of LG, Luminosity Nation, I'm sure, is smiling today. Season in 2nd, Esports Arena in 3rd. So the same top 3 that we had going into Storm Point maintain. 100 Thieves, BR Demons right behind them. Optic breaks into the top 8, right above of TSM. And as a result of the competition today, the overall regular season standings for North America Pro League is the Guard on top. Congratulations to RKN alongside Keon and Rambo. They'll take first place in the entire Guard organization. Team Liquid right behind them. We didn't see them today. TSM right behind them. So it's a pretty even distribution here of A, B, and Groups C in the top 6. Actually make that almost all of top 10, with Group C being the most dominant so far, it seems like, Tiff.
Yeah, and I want to point out the fact that the Guard and TSM both came in with 25 points and found themselves within the top 5 just after competing once. So the fact is, now that this round robin is completed, this is the moment where we go into the next set. It's like if you're finding yourselves outside that top 9, if you're BR Demons, such a solid showing today, you're going to have to start kind of crawling your way back up the leaderboard if you want to qualify for playoffs. And there's a lot of big names out here that are just waiting for that moment.
That's right. Currently, Cloud9, NRG, Furia, many more will not qualify if the season ended today, at least automatically for top 9. But hey, let's look at the kill leaderboards overall. Yanya on top. He has a dominant day. Kudos to Yanya and LG holding it down for MNK worldwide. Nizel with 11 right behind his teammate, but Phonyhead is in 2nd place with 13. Pretty even distribution. I gotta give a big shout out and kudos to Deeds of Tripods. Despite Tripods not having a huge day in terms of late game success or high kill success as a team, Deeds plays out of his mind with 10. Kudos to the Tripods' very own Deeds. Nick's been talking about him as a demon for quite some time, and he certainly proved it today, Vicky.
Yeah, it's really nice to see that ESA also take up 2 spots in this top 10 of the series kill leaders. Yanya obviously having a pop-off game, but with the rest of the Luminosity gaming crew, you have to give it to them because it wasn't just the fact of that they were able to secure some placement points. The name of the game here for them today was to go all in and frag out, and that's exactly what each and every individual member was able to do.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to all of our teams and all of our individuals who absolutely performed today. But it's time for a bit of a discussion. Who performed the best? It's time for your Monster MVP. Let's go ahead and jump right into the discussion. First things first, I want to get your take, Spider Tiff. Who do you think was the MVP today and why?
Look, I'm looking at the team of ESA. I think with the addition of Luda, they played incredibly strongly and came out saying, we have something to prove, and we are going to do just that. And I'm going to look at Phony in particular. You saw them in that number 2 slot on that kill leaderboard, just finding a lot of success throughout this 6-game series to find themselves at the end within the top 3. This guy's been active since 2019, the former W team member, and I just feel as if they deserve some highlight. This controller fragger is an absolute menace.
completely agreed. I missed the team name, My Little Phonies, but I digress. No, kudos to Phonyhead and the entire squad for a great day, but Phonyhead in particular leading this team to success. Really, really solid day from ESA. They end up in second overall. Vicky, I'm going to ask you the same exact question. You got someone from ESA or you got someone else? Who's your MVP?
I got somebody else. I talked about them before, but I got to give it to Yanya from Luminosity. It's not just because Yanya dominated the overall kill leaderboards, but it was the impact that Yanya had in general with the Valkyrie, with the reposition. And aside from that, I love the composition that we saw from Luminosity. Yanya is not a stranger to the ALGS competition, formerly known as Ganja Men as their alternative IDs. You know, we've seen them back in LAN. We saw them pop off in the Rewired Fest, and they were able to continuously pop off on the rest of the Luminosity squad during these last few games. But he was able to frag out, and I think the enabling between all these different individual members of Luminosity had allowed them to gain the confidence that they needed to keep rolling the lobbies.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. And look, at the end of the day, you could give it to Jaguars, obviously kind of a new member to this team and really, really performed, but you'd be remiss to not give it to Yanya. He performed so well. Not only is he the heart and soul of this team, calling shots and making plays, but also ending up on top in the kill leaderboard. So I got to agree with you, Vicky, on the Yanya call. I think Phonyhead's a great one as well, as ESA certainly performed. But hey, great discussion as always. What a day it was for team play. What a day for individual play as well. This has been your Monster MVP. And of course, interesting to see who's performed the best week in and week out. As we get ready to close on the show, I believe we'll have ourselves an interview. We'll get you the update on that as to who it's going to be. It's my favorite part of the broadcast. Just got confirmation in my ear that we do. So we'll be jumping into the interview here in just a moment. And guess what? Some good news. It's going to be Yanya joining us, the MVP in terms of kill leadership, Apex Predator, our Monster MVP pick. And we are joined with Yanya of Luminosity Gaming, a dominant start and a dominant showing. Yanya, first things first, how do you feel in Mexico on top? Any words for your fans? Any Spanish? And feel free to do it in Spanish if you'd like.
En español, ok. No, pues la verdad sí me siento muy feliz de poder estar representando pues a todo México. La verdad con mi equipo pues lo estamos intentando lo mejor que se puede y pues vamos por el win de este playoff que se viene, ¿verdad? Vamos con todo este año, puro del G. That's it. Thank you.
I love it, man. Love it. Some great words for your fans. Big shout out to the Mexican Apex community. I got a lot of love for the Mexican esports community in general. But hey, talked about your team's performance today, and I want to ask you, I just want to address the elephant in the room. You guys make a big decision to replace Enemigo with Jaguares. That's huge. I mean, you played so well with Enemy. Why that decision, and what does Jaguars bring to your team?
I don't really know. I mean, we got Jaguares instead of Enemigo because I think we have like more chemistry with Jaguares. He like frags a lot with his controller, and he has a lot of knowledge about rotations, positions, about circles, about everything of the game. So yeah, I think that's why we change it.
Well, the knowledge certainly paid off because you found yourself off at the top of the leaderboard. So congratulations for that today. My question is electing to put Neasel on that Caustic. How do you kind of, in a meta that used to be Gibby and Caustic, and you're kind of bringing it back, how do you feel about that? Because it's clearly successful.
Yeah, I mean, we just try to use Caustic because we saw some streams about everyone like pushing with Seer, and you just can counter just the people using the meta Seer with another Seer. But if you have like a defense and they have Seer, they just pop the ult and you wait with a Caustic inside of a house, and they can't do anything about it, and you just kill them easily after the ult is done. That's why we choose to use Caustic.
Love it. Love it.
I love it. That's actually such a very interesting outlook too, because I was gonna pick your brain about the different compositions that you guys utilize between Stormpoint and World's Edge. But first off, I can only imagine that you guys also feel so confident. You guys got second at the Rewired Fest. I got to see you guys in person. You guys were so excited for the Pro League. I remember talking to you guys about it right beforehand, and you felt like you were gonna be able to top all of NA. And look at what you guys are doing now here for day number 3. You guys are popping off not only with a pretty big gap between yourselves and the rest of the lobby, League, but you're doing it with a comp that we don't usually get to see. My question is, do you guys think that you're ahead of the curve when it comes to the different comps, or do you think that rocking the Seer, the Horizon, the Valkyrie, is that going to hold some teams back, or do you think that what you guys are doing is absolutely working?
I mean, I don't really think that like the comp of characters really matter. You just like need to play as a team. I mean, the characters can help you kind of, but if you play like a team and rotate really good and have a lot of chemistry with your team, you are just gonna dominate. It doesn't matter what comp do you use. You just need to be a team, and that's it.
I love that answer too. I know the forefathers of Apex Legends at Respawn love that answer because originally they designed the game with that principle in mind. It's not about the characters, it's about your ability to shoot and play together as a team, and you really just kind of laid that out right there. So brilliant perspective. You know, we always overemphasize the importance of team compositions, and obviously it's fun watching you play Bangalore and Bloodhound, but I like that perspective, and you guys were clearly the best team overall. Your chemistry was amazing. Your team play was amazing. Congratulations on the win today. Enjoy it. Thank you so much for joining us once again, Yanya. Congratulations on Apex Predator as well as the dub.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Well, congrats again to Yanya and Luminosity Gaming. A massive win for them. They absolutely dominated this week, Vicky. As we're going to start to wrap up the show, it's obviously been a very, very long day. I want to get your final thoughts as we close things out. Vicky, Kitty, and Tiff, start with you, Vicky.
I'm excited to see what ESA's got in store for us. They had an amazing pop-off day for themselves today as well, aside from Luminosity Gaming. Seasons 2, one of our squads that we were not expecting to have a pop-off day. I'm excited to see how this is going to mix things up for the squads that we were expecting results from. FaZe, Optic Gaming, TSM. Yeah, they're on the overall back end of the top 10, but we want to see more from these teams. I need to be able to see that these different other teams are going to be able to topple the other squads that are now making their way into the Pro League.
Great point. Tiff, how about you?
I'm going to double down on that. I think it was a lot of the teams coming out of those ALGS preseason qualifiers that found success today. And I think that's going to hold some momentum as they go forward, because that's going to give them the confidence that they know they can go up against these teams that have found so much success throughout ALGS history and just perform at the top of their level. They know that they belong here and that just wasn't a fluke, right? That is the question. It's like, can you double down and find your consistency? And we were looking for a lot of those teams today to have that. And unfortunately, we had some interesting zone pulls and some teams that just really weren't finding a lot of success in this. So I guess we're just looking towards the next day.
That is right. Well, thank you so much. Again, both of you absolutely crushed it. As always, Tiff, your debut in ALGS, you killed it, girl. Blow it up in the chat and give some love to Spider Tiff alongside Vicky, Kitty, absolutely killing it on the mic and casting all day long. It's been a hell of a day here for the ALGS. Congratulations to Alliance and winning in EMEA. In North America, it was Luminosity Gaming holding it down for Mexico in our North American region. Congratulations to them. Congratulations to the entire Latin American community. Mexico, viva Mexico indeed. We're going to have a lot to celebrate today. Hope you all enjoyed the action today. And guess what? There's more coming up. This is just the beginning of the ALGS Pro League. Next broadcast will be on Thursday. Make sure to tune in for the EMEA show starting bright and early in the morning, followed by our North American competition, where you'll have a chance to see the likes of Element 6, Alliance, Gaiman Gladiators, and so many more competing. EMEA has certainly shaken things up with Alliance dominating today after a much-needed win that they needed in the grand scheme of things. On the flip side, North American broadcast certainly did not disappoint. Cloud9 showing some life. Atlanta Premier, after a second-place finish, a solid top 10 overall standing for them, but in the end, it was Luminosity Gaming who ended up on top. We will catch y'all on Thursday for some more Apex action. Again, I'm Fallout, joined alongside my two casters, Spider Tiff and Vicky Kitty, on behalf of ourselves and our production team and Esports Engine and the entire ALGS. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the action. Have a good evening, and we'll catch y'all on Thursday.